Hello and welcome to Benno and Hamflett in Your House, a podcast reviewing WWE's iconic New Generation B shows in order from the bust back to the boom. I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Benno. I'm Michael. Happy Mother's Day. It's a cold day in hell. A strange way to refer to Richmond, Virginia. But here we are. Not quite as good as my pun that I used on Spotlight that one time, cold day in Hull. I feel like I could have used that as a housekeeping title at some point. It doesn't get much colder, does it? But I believe Richmond, Virginia can run it close.
That's a cold day in Hull. That feels like, those times that like Progress in that supposed boom era would leave Camden and get about, and they would like try whenever possible to like come up with a name that was fitting of the locale. I can picture them moving in on, what is it, NGW's turf? I'm stepping into your world here. I could step on a landmine. I try to pretend it doesn't exist, but it comes and gets you nonetheless. But like, stepping into their turf and that like, as much as it would profess not to be, the roots of pretty much all those BritRes promoters was just this fed, wasn't it? So that what like a cold day in Hull's been sat there on a promoter's desk for the longest time.
It's been a newspaper headline at some point where like Pulis has taken the Stoke City lads to Hull or something like that. And it's been a rough 0-0 draw on like a cold winter's day or something like that as well. Never been to Hull though, unfortunately. I don't think I've ever had the privilege. Been there, so the city's nearby, but it's a good night out. I think I've heard that before.
There's a club in Hull. Shout out actually, because a lad might be listening to this very podcast. I know he's a What Culture listener. He's a DJ at an iconic nightclub in Hull called Spiders. And it's like, it's been there just for donkey's years. It's older than both of us. And like, you go in and it's a sort of dingy, but lovingly dingy rock and indie bar. And like, there's various dance floors, all with like raw iron spider webs over the top of the dance floors. There's these sort of like custom made cocktails that Spiders designed they just have these outlandish names called Pangalactic Gargle Blasters. And historically, they've remained like inflation proof, but also like about 100% proof. So they just get you completely arseholed. And it's still one of the last few places where you'll still get like well and truly bollocks for like 20 quid and you'll know you've drank it, It's a proper.
Wigan used to be like that.
In Hull.
We go to Wigan on a night out, not just, again, speaking of BritRes, not just to go see BritRes and the lovely Grand Pro Wrestling shows that take place, but it would be more for the night out because you'd be going like down these club streets. And this is in like the 2010s and it'd be like £1 for like a treble vodka and Red Bull or something like that. I was like, I didn't know this was still legal. This feels like something that shouldn't be happening in the UK at this point, but I don't know. Those places are a bit behind.
Is that King Street in Wigan by any chance?
It is, yeah.
Like
there you go.
Yeah, because that's where my wife's from. So like on the few occasions when we go back and visit the family, like I fucking like twist the arm on like, let's see what like the bars are all about when you were younger. And it's just, I love provincial town shithole bars because I spent a lot of my youth in like Scarborough and then I moved to Sunderland, and there's just there's a familiarity about them outside of big cities, isn't there? There's just they're all different, but they're all like the same as well.
They're all brutal.
I think
every town's got its own brutal. That's what I think as a Liverpool. Really. Definitely, if anyone's out there getting insulted by this chat, like I grew up in brutal, I can't talk, and we all know what that area is famous for.
I'm saying love. Yeah.
We takes one to know one, doesn't it? It's said with a lot of love.
Yeah, but and presumably then, because I have nothing on Richmond, Virginia, but I'd like to think that just by the name of the place, it's an American Bootle, it's an American Scarborough, it's an American Wigan. It sort of feels like it would be, doesn't it? Richmond, Virginia.
It does, yeah. Virginia feels like it's like wineries and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of farmlands. That's kind of all I know. Richmond, it was the street next to where I grew up around the time of 1997 that we're going to talk about today. The next street was called Richmond Avenue. That's it. That's all I've got too. Was it a brand of cigarettes at one point? I think so, maybe as well.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Richmond Menthols. I remember them. But yeah, like,
do you remember that when like they used to just be like that? Just popped in my head now. Like from this period we're talking about, where like we grew up in a time there are kids younger than us who don't know that this was the world, but there'd just be cigarette adverts on the street. Like me and our PT used to love it. We count like the Marlboro adverts or like the Benson's ones. I think they did cigarettes, the Lambert and Butler cigarettes. Like we'd be counting them as like we went along the street, like as a game, or we'd be like laughing at the adverts of like a fellow with a big ciggy in his mouth. Like it was a different way. You could buy chocolate cigarettes at the corner shop down the road. It was a different Wild West back then.
I'm a goody two-shoes, right, Benno? I've never smoked a shoot tab in my life, ever. But those chocolate ones when you were a kid, or the joke shop ones that you could blow and the smoke came out of, I thought they were the greatest things going, you know. Even now, when I see, like, if you've initialized B&H, IYH, I think of Benson and Hedges. Like, I forget it's our names, Benno and Hamflett, because I would I think my folks might have used to smoke B&H or something, but I can hear the brand in B&H, and I don't, when I see it written down, I still think of the tabs. Some of them were quite like artistic, weren't they? You'd see them in like, we've talked in this podcast about buying FHM and magazines of that nature. And a lot of them would be like a double page spread, and it'd be for like Silk Cut or something. And it'd be this weird, jazzy sort of, I don't know, like modern art or abstract image, but it was just for tabs. It was like, there was proper marketing done, wasn't there?
Proper effort into it back then. It was like, I don't know if they were trying to do, like I say, with the children's cigarettes that these sell as sweets and stuff, or they were just trying to get everybody at a young age. But I went the opposite way. Like my dad smoked, my granddad smoked, all my uncles and aunties smoked, and I never touched cigarettes until I moved out to Asia and they were 30p for a packet. But the less said about yesterday, the better. Look, it's cheap. I'll quit when I go home. It's only when I've had the drink. That's all. That's what I'm telling myself. I have actually become my dad. I think at time went on. But maybe the adverts got through. Maybe that's what it is now. I've hit my 40s.
30p a shot. You'll quit when you come home, but only because when you get home, you'll be selling them at 20 quid a pack and you'll be a millionaire. You'll be on to far harder things with all the money, the ill-gotten gains you've made from selling hookies.
Mate, I've got 2 pairs of Nike Air Force Ones that cost me £6 from the Amazon website in Vietnam. Like, they're a bit small, but I'm like, the £6, they're still good. They're still good. I'll make them work. The cigarettes, they're probably full of all kinds of crap, but they're still good. They're still good. The 30p. It's probably the same with the ale. You make these, they make these acceptances when prices are such as they are.
I'm proper, like, we can date this a little bit. Obviously, you're on your travels still, but we're also quite close to festive season here in the UK, and I'm worried for you, quite honestly, because I don't think you're going to have any problem. You're going to be seeing family, you're going to be seeing friends, you're going to be back in Liverpool. There's a lot to love about that, but you're like, gone are the days, Benno, where you're going to be just, I'm going to walk to the shop and get some chocolate pretzels or some blue ribbons if I've not got any chocolate pretzels. Like, you're not even going to be able to justify. You're not going to be able to justify buying a penguin or a Kit Kat, mate. Like, as soon as you see the price and you see how everything's broken £1, how like there's not a single thing you could do for under £1, you're going to be on the first plane back. How are you going to manage?
No, it'll be like, I'll be honestly, I'm already planning a plan of action. I'm going to buy a coat while I'm out here rather than getting one when I'm at home. I'll be getting my haircut and my beard trim while I'm here, and then literally looking like shit for the 4 weeks while I'm at home because I am not paying UK prices. And yeah, I'll eat at Greg's. I get a free Greg's from Monzo, so that'll take care of some of the spends per week. It'll literally just be stuff like that. I honestly don't know. I don't know what to expect. The weather especially, like, I'm hoping that it's going to be a nice warm January, but I can't see that being
I don't know about that.
Either. Jesus Christ. I'm screwed is pretty much the answer, 100%.
You need to keep your fingers crossed for global warming working out in your favour and getting a bit of a breather this time. Look, all I'm saying is, right, like 135, Benno, get prepped. I feel like Matty in Vegas. Do you know what I mean? Like 135 for a can.
In pounds, like that'd be like 13 pence out here. Jesus, right? I need to rethink this. Maybe I'll cancel those flights. Maybe it'll work out better to stay in Asia. But well, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody anyway if I'm around. I was going to say I'll see you soon, Mum, but I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. Having heard the last 5 minutes of a conversation we had out there. But anyway, back to the subject I had. We are here to talk in your house from 1997. No Raws, unfortunately, today. If you haven't heard it already, do listen to Housekeeping. Pretty much a recap of Raw from April 1997 is what the last Housekeeping turned into. Basically one for the best of Raw 5, is it? Sickos, whoever had that VHS tape back in the day. Pretty much all that, really. So that'll get your homework sorted and put us in your ears if you haven't already. But obviously we previewed the show we're going to be talking about today, like we said, from the Richmond Coliseum, no less, in Richmond, Virginia. It is May 11th of 1997. And it is a cold day in hell. Need to remember that when I do the titling for this one. But yeah, a bit of a turn up for the books on this one. 14,381 in attendance. A little, not a big peak as far as pay-per-view buys, but 143,000 pay-per-view buys compared to 120,000 for Revenge of the Taker. Maybe Steve is starting to work a bit of his magic, and a lot of that has to do with the television and not necessarily the pay-per-views. Like the television is very much the A shows at this point, but it's looking all very different here in 1997.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite a few times as we've kind of moved into 1997, but and I'll foreshadow the next housekeeping to come that we've already done a bit of chatting about behind the scenes. But the shift is quite remarkable, quite honestly. Like I know by 1996 they were under pressure to make television look a bit more like what it is today because of the launch of Nitro, and that story's been well told. But I think particularly in 1997, the two Raws that we've talked about in the past, where Vince Russo was given far more power, whichever one it was, either the European tour, the African shows, whatever, he has now got that power and feels like Raw is where he gets to use it. Like segment by segment, these TV, they're so densely packed. Whereas the pay-per-views, and it certainly makes like these reviews a walk in the park by comparison, the pay-per-views still, the in your houses at least, are kind of like for like with 1995, aren't they? They're kind of in and done and nice and tidy in a sort of 2 hours or under. The match card doesn't particularly get longer. It doesn't necessarily use all the roster that's being featured. The roster's still pretty shallow, and yet they haven't found the need to just have wrestlers doubling up as much as they were in, say, 95, the likes of Davey Boy Smith and whatever. And all I'll say now is that as we kind of move to the end of our series 1 of Benno and Hamflett, we are like, we're seeing the end of an era, I think, with these B shows. I think they're still in that period where it feels as if the B shows are permitted to have a bit less going on. But the difference between this and the television would become too great. You can see why, other than for the obvious business reason of making a bunch of extra money, why that third hour on these in your houses is becoming essential. Because we've just recapped Raw. It's on the last housekeeping. The next housekeeping is going to be another beast. It isn't the first one in our series.
Which also needs another hour.
It's just the 2 hour in your house format is incompatible with the way that the product itself is moving.
Massively so, and like nothing sums that up more than, like, say, the disparate difference between how fast things move on these TVs. And like, I think you stole the words right on my mouth, how like retro these in your houses feel at this point. How much of a, or you see Pettingill turn up at an interview backstage, it's like he's from 10 years ago, isn't he? No, he's from 3 months ago. It felt normal that Pettingill was knocking around. Like 3 months ago, it felt normal that this undercard was what it was. But like, we're very quickly moving into a new, very, very different age. And as we talked about last month with the last in your house, that's even coming across in the postering. A lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin across the posters, especially for these last two in your houses. And I think it's starting to creep in a little bit into the VHS covers here as well, which a new one makes. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've not seen orange before. Check out this beast for the video viewers there. If you don't watch us on video, youtube.com/@Benno Hamflett. Always take an extra view over there, but good Lord, look at this beauty. It's like they're clearly trying something. Again, we always say like these in your houses in the teenage numbers are the WWF moving into that awkward teenage years, and they're trying something here. Bit of flame, bit of ice there to show the difference between the two men in the main event, and even just having Steve on the front there with his earrings and his necklace chain in there, looking very 1997 as well. We are a world away from multiple in your house covers with Davey Boy Smith there across the front cover.
Yeah, they've taken Austin from that. They've cut him out of that brick wall set, haven't they? Where he stood in front of the brick wall with his top off. There's sort of a lot to unpack here, isn't it? I'll get it out of the way right away. They'll never ever get the alignment of the number and the logo right on the spine. I've given up hope that it's ever going to be. What's that 15 doing up there? But this is almost like a kind of contemporary version of the event posters for A Match Made in Heaven, A Match Made in Hell with SummerSlam 91. Like the color contrast, but this time now it's with the top stars and it's a singular match. The back cover, I'm like, I always feel like we pick on these, but is it fair to say that with the exception of Triple H, those are the most sort of up-to-date pictures of the talent we've ever had on the back? Like Triple H is straight out of 95, the Greenwich Blue Blood, but Shamrock is obviously brand new anyway. Mankind is still Mankind. Ahmed is still Ahmed. It's a fair reflection of the show we're about to watch.
It's true that because, like, obviously when we're putting the thumbnails together for these shows, I'm always hunting for like at least closely date specific 1997 what pictures, and I often have to get creative with those, especially when it comes to Undertaker. Sometimes Mankind, sometimes Steve. I feel like the one I used for Steve for Final Four, I don't think it would have got the Michael seal of approval as the best high res picture I could get. He looks a little bit too built. He looks a little bit too, at least very late 1997 rather than the period that we're in here. But no, you're totally right. That's like stands out. Even like Shamrock there, like you say, like on the pay-per-view itself, they're constantly using that still image, aren't they, of him in like a really nice like sweater vest with like a white t-shirt underneath. Yeah. Like they've actually took the time to get what looks like one of the actual UFC photos of the time, or like you say, maybe one of his early pictures that he's done backstage for the WWF here. It does. It feels like WWF 1997. It does.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sort of, I don't know as well. Like Cold Day in Hell, is it reasonable to say that it's too good? Like the title is.
It's too a good point, isn't it? Mm.
Yeah, like they kind of, it's almost as if there would have been like another day for Steve. Like, obviously, you know, we're going to have Highway to Hell. We're going to have, me and you, we're going to have more Austin and Undertaker than we want, quite frankly. But can you imagine if they'd still been able to drop this as a first-time title once the In Your House bit was gone? You know, like by 1998, when they just, and we're part of dreading it, but we're accepting our fate in season 2, when the In Your House is merely one line of text rather than this gorgeous logo that we're going to miss. Cold Day in Hell would have just been the whole thing, wouldn't it? And they've blown the load with it a little bit here. I've got one more observation to make as well that just had me panic about this review, because I've had to like break it up into chunks. British Bulldog and Owen Hart versus Legion of Doom. Oh, they left that on from Revenge of the Taker.
That is weird because, like, you know, now that you say it, I tried to look. I was looking at a hooky link to try and watch this originally until I found my usual go-to source. I'm in Vietnam. Don't get mad at me. There's complications with Netflix. And you know what? The first video I tried to play opened with Legion of Doom coming out for a match with Bulldog and Owen, and I did wonder. I did think, have I put the wrong show on? Have I put the last one on? And then I found another link, and it was, you know, the show as we expected it to be, as the shows we previewed last month. So I wonder now, maybe is there a version of this that has, because I know that there's a dark match, isn't there, with these lads? That's right, isn't it? It's post the show rather than pre the show. It's not on the free for all. I put that together. I didn't clicked on that. That's bad podcasting from me there. I'm going to, as soon as we finish recording, number one, I'm going to curse myself for not knowing exactly what's going on here. But number two, I'm going to be searching for a complete sake for the, like, I mean, I thought the Revenge of the Taker match was mostly shit, but nonetheless, I am who I am. And if this happened and it's available to watch, I need to subject myself to it. That's how my brain works. Do you know what I mean? I need to sort of, it's got to be out there. I'm pretty sure the runtime's very short as well, from what I saw as well, from just looking at the notes for the show as well. But there we go. One for the completest, the sickos. Maybe that'll be completed on the next Housekeeping. Maybe we could potentially get it in there as well. But like you say, things looking very different here with the VHS cover. They're trying the best to bring themselves into this modern era that is 1997 at this point. And like I say, we are here. There is a very brief free for all that we do have little bits of, don't we? There's about 6-minute clip of it on Daily Motion of the free for all that I saw, with our two favorite wrestlers, Rockabilly and Jesse James, having another nondescript match. DDT looked nice that Rockabilly landed young Jesse on his head with. Outside of that, not much. But as far as I know, not much other footage of the free for all there.
No, we get during the main show, we get a clip, don't we, of Ken Shamrock getting attacked by Vader and Mankind, and Jim Ross during the Rockabilly Jesse James match keeps asking for an update, but we've had that that attack quite brutally cut out of this free for all. You have Todd doing the intro, and then it pretty much just goes straight to the match. You mentioned about the In Your Houses reaching 15, 16. Well, like, we're getting ready for our beloved house to finally leave home. But this is, remember in Sister Sister where they came back from the season and Roger was suddenly like a bit of a hottie compared to like the season before when he was still a little kid, and both Tia and Tamara quite fancied Roger. This is the level of glow up the house has had. We obviously, Undertaker and the Executioner knocked the shit out of it in December. And then we had nothing at Final Four and the tiny little doorway at Revenge of the Taker. They've spent a bit of money here, man. The brand new Titantron that they're squashing at the window everybody's got videos now. It looks great. It's at the top of the Roy's War ramp. So now it's like, it sort of towers above the ring in terms of where it fits in the building. I think not for the first time on these podcasts as well. These 10,000 plus seater buildings, like it does sort of it makes a bit of a fool of the narrative that the company was entirely in the bin, doesn't it? Because along the way we've seen some houses.
Yeah, massively. And like, I think that part of that is, going to the right towns and getting those houses. But part of it is this undercurrent of a company that's growing and a company that's trying to get themselves out of the mud. And like you say, we often talk in 1997, like pretty much it is. It's the start of the Attitude Era. Like you've often said, you could take that back to 1996, but the recovery is very much in here. And again, not you can't say more than that than the money that they're spending as well. Because I had that same kind of thought when I saw the set. I was like, oh, it's kind of like the set hits its final form on this show. It's just a shame that we don't get it for much longer, do we? It's like the upgraded house and all of that, and it's 3 on your house and it's gone. That tells you that on the way back up, they're willing to throw money away on house sets and and destroy them, as we will be getting to when the set comes down. Like, but yeah, like clearly it's like you said there, massive upgrade on the last two shows. The last two shows, if anything, just looked very house show, didn't they? They looked like it was just an entrance and nothing else, and it was a ring and it was wrestling. Let's just get through it. Like, I like the fact that they've gone back to, all right, we need to at least make it look like people have the money they've spent is worthwhile.
Yeah, well, and the money obviously not just spent by the fans, but the wrestlers, of course. We do get on this pre-show that the Hearts who have got their own locker room, which is a bit weird, but haven't been able to get their own tickets to watch the matches. So I didn't quite get that, but they explain that they've had to buy 5 tickets from scalpers because apparently nobody in the company was willing to get the family seat. Brett's kind of claiming conspiracy. It's those typical hyenas like Gorilla Monsoon not getting the Hearts sorted with tickets. So they've had to go outside, buy the tickets, get back in the building, and then immediately go backstage where they're in a comfy locker room to themselves. It's a little bit of a stretch premise, but they get basically, I think it's so you've got that shot the whole night, isn't it, of the 5 ringside seats that are going unoccupied because Jim Ross asks when they're going to turn up, and Brett's just like, it's none of your business, mate, and just buys him.
It's a great tease as well, isn't it, for the main event? Because as we've said with the telly, Austin versus Undertaker, that's pretty cool. It's 2 big-time babyfaces going up against each other. But really, the Hearts are basically in this match. They've been in all the promotion for it. And the entire tease is, when are they going to get involved? And yeah, you want to kind of lay that Chekhov's gun out earlier and make it clear. But yeah, I do like that little wrinkle that obviously they can't get the tickets through the company at this point. The Hart Foundation, ... and Brian Pillman, which they like to continually point out through this show.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it, really, isn't it? From the footage we've seen, there's, say, the Rockabilly Jesse James match. We see the Shamrock footage later with Vader and Mankind, and outside of that, that's about it, really.
That's a lot. And interestingly, when the show starts for real, in a bit of a diversion from how they normally do it, and I wonder if it was due to the absence of Vince McMahon, and we'll probably get to that at the very end of this recap as to why that is. But did you notice that Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler recapped the entire card with match graphics before the show started itself?
Of course,
very un-WWE that. It's like the show started, you've had your opening video package, and instead of just going straight to the ring, you've got this card rundown. I don't know. It's just it's a WCW choice because you would always go with like Tony and Bobby and Dusty for quite a long talk before you'd actually hit the ring, whereas normally you just get Vince screaming at you, a few fireworks, and then it's bang straight to the first match, isn't it? So it's just, I found that like quite a strange change of pace for starting one of these shows.
It feels very much like Dad's away, so like the more wrestling brain people in the room have got a little bit of extra power, including, like you say, JR giving the game away at the very end of the show as to where Vince McMahon is at this point. To be honest, I was celebrating that start. Thinking, maybe we're at the end of the Vince McMahon comedy commentary run, and we've got JR and Lawler as it should be in the hot seat from this point forward. But yeah, is it Mum or his Nan that's died?
It was
after Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's like a family friend who the McMahons...
Yeah, I didn't think it was a mum because she lives to like 120 or something daft like that.
Yeah.
Which is,
she only died like 2023 or 2024 or something, but like, it's like a family friend who the kids always called, your aunt that's not your real aunt. I think it was one of them situations. She gets her own shout out and Vince misses the show. So like, it must have been a big one, I guess.
Yeah, but there you go. Well, but his loss is our benefit. Is it nice to say? It's been 30 years. We're allowed to say it, but I do prefer it when it's JR and Jerry Lawler on the call. But yeah, we got a bit of a moody introduction video for Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin, kind of setting that up with the hearts in the background. It's like one of the instrumental to it. I really enjoyed, at least on the version I watch. It was one of those like early. You could tell it's Jim Johnston just getting. He doesn't know it yet, but he's getting ready to hit the right button for that Ministry of Darkness theme, and he's going to add rap on it later, and he's going to create one of the world's first banger rap themes that the WWF come up with. But it's a nice little instrumental start here that he's got as it segues us into the first proper look at the set on the show itself.
Yeah, like proper recognised symbol of excellence stuff, this, because like as we covered in Housekeeping, Undertaker Austin's not really a feud, is it? So you get these little verbal cut-ins where Austin says, he's going to beat the Undertaker's ass or whatever, but even the clips, they kind of have to recycle because it's all about the heart, and it's all about Austin's rivalry with Bret Hart and stuff, and the Undertaker. Not the Undertaker's a spare prick, and I think he makes sure he's not when he gets to the match itself. But we've seen this before. It wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last, where the WWF champion story gets like a little bit usurped by hotter things happening. They're about to address that the very next night with an enormous plot point, which we'll get to next time around. But just this 1 month in between the Undertaker finally kind of like washing his hands of mankind and in his mind doing away with Paul Bearer forever, he does sort of accidentally feel out of place to the point where they kind of have to staple him to the Austin Hart's rivalry just to keep him in the game.
Yeah, it's very much, and the Undertaker's here too. You can see where the money program is, and it's Austin and the Heart, and that's pretty much given away in this little promo video they have here. But that takes us into our first match, which is the young Hunter Hearst Helmsley with China. Obviously, we've been talking about her introduction versus Flash Funk. I very much enjoyed as the lads are making their way to the ring. We get a bit of a highlight package from Shotgun, not quite Saturday night anymore. And they make a really big deal of China hitting a low blow on Mankind, like it's the first time anyone's ever seen a woman do this on a WWF show. You would see a lot of that as time went on. It was a great move to do with her. Was it in No Mercy? Pretty sure it was No Mercy. That was the big move that you could do with it if you held A and B together. Pretty sure that's how that worked. I think did she attack the Funkettes as well? I don't think they show footage of that here, but I think is that also in the kind of half non-existent build to this thing?
That's actually the kayfabe explanation for why they're not there, because they were scared of getting attacked by China. The real reason is because they've been released because of budget cuts. So, like,
you got to pay for that, you said.
Yeah, basically, those white walls on that In Your House screen won't cover themselves. Basically,
amazing.
I do like even without the Funkettes. I think we might have said this on the last In Your House review, maybe. Like Flash Funk, like Savio Vega turns heel, and Flash Funk is like, "I've got you. I know what you need." Like in these In Your House openers. And to be absolutely fair, like I think this new star they've got, China, is pretty awesome. I'm not sure about this Hunter Hearst Helmsley that accompanies it to the ring. I'm not sure that he's going to make it, but China's very over. I just think it's a sidekick that needs a bit of help. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been the thing on him for 25, 30 years. It's not a lie, is it? That man goes fucking nowhere, and then overnight she changes everything for him. She invents aura for this man.
Massively, like she's massively important to like the match itself, like the structure of it. Like it opens with Flash Funk and typical shine, a few drop kicks in there and the like, clotheslines to the outside. He does it's like a flying clothesline, isn't it, to the outside where he takes Hunter's head off, which gives him the brain damage that we're still dealing with to this day, I'm pretty sure. But you're right, it's very much Flash Funk doing shiny stuff. And then what's the cutoff? Hunter's already onto it. Oh, I don't need to do the cutoff. We just need China to come out of nowhere and fucking lariat him in the back of the head. And fair play to Flash Funk. Like we're in the early stages. There's definitely people up and down this roster who are probably saying, "Nah, I'm not taking that. Nah, I'm not bumping for her," which would obviously become a thing when she'd have actual in-ring matches. But he bumps like crazy for her, and you can tell like this new dynamic is catnip for the booking, for the dynamic of Hunter, even for the commentators. Like there's a couple of bad off-color remarks. I think Lawler says something like, "Look at the chin on her" or something like that, and it's just like, "Oh, come on, mate." That's like at first when I didn't realize where Vince was, I thought, that's him backstage for him putting that in his ear and telling him what to say. But like, you can tell like JR is also like loving it too. In that, like, it's an idea, I think, as we talked about when she got introduced. Why haven't they done that before? It's very clearly a great, especially in the 90s, a great thing for Heat. Like, we've seen all the bodyguards, we've literally seen Mr. Hughes with Hunter, and like none of that stuff really works in 1997. But like a completely fresh dynamic here, and yeah, she is very much the star of this double act, and really, she's the star of the match because outside of that, it's Flash Funk Shine, and it's her getting the cut off, and a load of boring knee-related heat from Hunter, which you're kind of just looking at China. It's a bit like that Simpsons reference, isn't it? You're just waiting for her to do something. If I was in the crowd, I'd be looking at her. I wouldn't be looking at Hunter kicking and booting his way through a really boring heat segment in this thing.
I've got boring in all caps in my notes because it's that dreaded mechanically sound type thing from Triple H.
Deliberate, I think JR calls it.
Yeah, like, nothing's bad, but that doesn't make it good by default, does it? Like, I was thinking about this because I was wary of making a comparison that might have ended up being like as in bad taste as the commentators themselves with China, because it is important to put over just how different a specimen she is compared to anyone that's ever worked in wrestling before. They don't need to be. It's like, I know Lawler's a heel, but so was China. They don't need to be as cruel in some of their references, but it's the 90s and people were crueler. But where I think they got one comparison correct was in the nickname, the Ninth Wonder of the World, because within Fed lore, Andre the Giant is this sort of, he's not like almost not of this earth. Does that make sense? Like the way that he is marketed, he's not the tallest guy, he's not the fattest guy, he's not the biggest guy. But he is simply this. He's got this like undeniable, like this X factor, these intangibles as a monster wrestler that set him apart from everybody else. And certainly within Fed canon, it didn't matter that like his ball Noah work rate days were long behind him. It was that kind of like just that intangible that he carried with him, even into his days when he was getting heavier and when he was working as a heel with the gear on to hide the back brace and all that kind of stuff. It didn't really matter. And China harnesses that exact same energy. She is the thing that you look at, that it's all the commentators want to talk about. It's all the cameras want to talk about. Like whoever's in the truck or whoever's speaking to Kevin Dunn is just like, camera on China. Like, you're not missing anything. Paul's got a chin lock on. Like Funk will do a cool bump in a minute, but get it back to China. Let's talk about China. Like it's a worthwhile project, isn't it? You can feel it. I remember, I don't think I'd seen the Go Home Raw to WrestleMania in time with WrestleMania. So my first proper, Jesus Christ, what is this? Was when she shook Marlena side to side at WrestleMania 13. Instant just game changer. I want to see her. What's she doing? Like, who's she going to feud with? Like, I want to see her hit women. I want to see her slam men. Everything she offered was different.
It's very much like, it reminds me of like Rey Mysterio, where like there's obviously been a conversation last month about Rey Mysterio and whether WCW got the most out of him. And the truth is they didn't, because like just stupid wrestling people were like, I'm not selling for him. He's tiny. Why would they do that? And it's like very clearly, like, think of the marketing, think of the masks, think of the kids who want to be Rey Mysterio, all those things. WCW never put that together. The Fed did. And I know people hate that. I'm a WCW homer and I lived it, and I know that's what happened. As great as the matches Rey Mysterio had was, they never got the most money out of them because wrestling people will work against their own best interests sometimes, and you can feel that same resistance with China. But you're right, she's that same level of game changer. She's that like same level of difference. And you referenced there about the Ninth Wonder in the World. I think that was always also a good thing. The year after this, when your mates, as we often talk about, your mates from school there come back in, they start watching wrestling. You're like, oh, do you know why she's called the Ninth Wonder of the World? And you get to be the smartest man in the room and let them know about that. Because everyone's dad said about Andre the Giant. They've never seen him wrestle, but they know who Andre the Giant is. So it always works to make yourself feel like the cleverest man in the room. But you're totally right. It is all about her because there's nothing there in the heat from Hunter. Like JR, like I say, literally says it. He's like, oh, Hunter being a little bit too deliberate there. At which point they have Flash Funk. It's a big boot of all things to the starters come back, drop kicks, back body drops, leg drops. He does the upside down either. We know Triple H loves to take in the corner there. The heel kick as well, and he goes for something JR calls the funky. I think they call it the funky funk splash off the top rope.
Splash, wasn't it? Yeah, that's inverted 450 type thing you would do, I think.
Way to make something cool sound lame as all shit. And in fairness, Hunter's counter is the most interesting thing he does in the match because he goes for like a belly to back off the top, and like the way Funk kind of sells it by flipping. Again, it's all him rather than the Hunter. It's genuinely impressive, but unfortunately, it just leads to kick one pedigree and we're over with. But yeah, Funk does his best to at least make the closing stretch here more interesting than it is.
it's that power hoist that Doug Furness used to do. It's that bump, isn't it, where they go all the way over. Angle and Benoit used to like it when they would wrestle each other as well, because Angle could get himself.
It'd be a good last one, wouldn't it, on the Germans?
Yeah. And it's Triple H's kill shot here. Like the pedigree's kind of just like icing on the cake, really, isn't it? He's got Funk beat here and he's flat out. But yeah, China again, like kicking ass after the match. It was brilliant. I was so pleased she was here because like the Triple H run starts now, doesn't it? Like I don't think his matches are necessarily always going to get that much better. But again, Shotgun is a little bit of a foreshadowing to come. There's your first glimpse at Triple H Mankind, and he's just bumped into the man that's going to, make him twice, basically. He's going to make him this year, and he's going to make him again 3 years later.
It's almost like it's somebody else who's always the star there. Maybe in future appearances now he's no longer Hunter S. Helmsley. It's Hunter S. Helmsley and China. I don't think he should ever get referred to as a singular anymore, such as the change here. But no, you're right. The post-match I loved as well. Loved like China carrying Flash Funk around like he was a trophy and then crotching him. The commentator's like, what's she even doing? I was like, oh, I get it now when she crotches him on the top rope again. Fair play to our mate Charlie Skaggs, as Matty will often say. He does the Lord's work putting over, because he knows he's getting another payday next month. He'll be in the opener. He'll be the Savio Vega, and he's fine with his job lot in life. But yeah, that's pretty much that as far as the opener goes. And yeah, that takes us backstage as we have, as you referenced earlier, old Kenny Shamrock in his lovely robe. Got to talk. I think we do need to stop and talk about the robe. He has a little. He tries to. It's a weird like segment this, because he cuts like a really stiff, because it's Ken Shamrock promo or being in the zone or whatever, which they then like overlay with the promo that he cut earlier, where he's also wearing the robe, and then he gets attacked by Vader and Mankind. But they keep playing the audio of the one that's happening in real time. It's so confusing. It's like the precursor to Looper or something like that. I'm seeing double here. I'm seeing 4 Ken Shamrocks. It's odd, but it gives us the recap that we wanted from the free for all.
It's weird, isn't it? Because like Shamrock, I actually found on TV. His delivery was quite convincing in that he didn't...
On commentary.
He wasn't very polished. He was quite aggressive. Like, I think, is it on this pay-per-view where they show the video package? And I think Vader's mouthing off and he just keeps going, shut up, like that.
Yes.
And he's not got much, but it's all the intensity of the words he does use.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, like Todd or Michael Hayes or the camera or somebody going 4, 3, 2, like it's rabbit in a headlight, Ken, isn't it? And he'd get there.
Thinking of his words.
Yeah, like somebody's like tapping a big like whiteboard holding up behind the scenes that just says, mention your zone, your zone, your zone. Like we've printed 4,000 t-shirts that say, get in my zone. Like already the Fed like merch machine is working on this, and that's what they're going with first. And he's like, right, I'll just hit that. If I hit zone, I can't get in trouble. So and I think then like Lawler kind of rips the piss out of him in commentary for like, oh, look, he's getting in his zone. But like, I remember that getting over. It was one of the many Ken Shamrock things that did get over as he kind of got comfier in the role.
Yeah, really snaps, all of that stuff as well. You're right. He made an immediate impression. Like, it's easy to make fun of him, but like, it's not. It's about to come later, but it's not Dan Severn. It's not, dare I say, Steve Blackman, where you get like these real life tough men and you bring them in and they've got no personality and they've got nothing. Like you say, not a natural speaker, but it's like that's charisma and mic ability, in old EWR games, they were the same stats. They're very much different stats in real life. And for him, totally, like I at that same note, when like him and Vader are kind of doing that standoff, even just like you'd notice it whenever they'd have him on commentary, they'd always zoom in close on his face, because like it's just his facial reactions and it's just looking like he wants to kill someone, which is pretty much his default look, always worked. And like it was nice that you could also juxtapose that with actually he's quite a nice guy, and actually he wants to be Vader up because he's a bully and he doesn't like bullies, and actually, he's all right actually in real life. And you probably wouldn't go for a pint with him, but you can go for a nice orange juice with him or something like that. He kind of had that both sides, didn't he? And then if you got to a scrap at the end of the night, you wouldn't be Davey Boy Smith and you wouldn't be Shawn Michaels getting battered by 37 Marines. Like Kenny would have you back. You'd want to be his mate. There's something there with him. I think there is. Something tangible I think is missing with the other tough guys of the era they try and do this with.
On that, did your version have the UFC footage around this point? Basically it was like the footage of Ken Shamrock in those original, the UFC tournament shows. They actually played a few it's on the Netflix version I watched. They played a bit of footage of him just like battering guys in that. And I was going to ask you, because I don't think we've ever spoken about this before. What's your like memories / experience of those original UFC tournaments? Because I've not really got any kind of past with MMA other than those. because I remember you could get the DVDs in HMV, and they were right next to the wrestling section. It was like, and I was like looking for Ken Shamrock and looking for Dan Severn, and I was aware of the Gracies and things like that. And then fast forward, I don't know what, 15 years later, when I got into Rousey's run and I got into McGregor when he was unbeaten, just like unbeaten streaks until the fighter lost, you know, that kind of like the big nights. I never knew what the hell I was watching. I tried, God bless John Pollock for trying to educate me via osmosis, and Dave in The Observer, but I did not know what I was staring at. But I try to like the Fed. It's a star game, isn't it? Like once a guy puts a run together, once Ronda's putting a run together and appearing on Jimmy Kimmel, I need to watch Ronda Rousey, you know? But these ones, this bear baiting stuff in these original tournaments, like it's unbelievable stuff, but you feel like you're watching a video nasty or something.
Massively. Like I was going to say, like, again, anyone around our age who's been a podcast listener for a while, we all remember that period in the 2010s where, like, if you want to listen to Observer Radio, you'd have to sit through half an hour of what Ronda Rousey did last night. Yeah. You'd be like, oh, come on, just give me the scoop from Raw, Dave. And there'd never be timestamps, so you'd be annoyed about it. But in this period, 100%, and I feel like I'm like slapping my arm now because we're getting into video shop corner here with Benno and Hamflett. It wasn't the DVDs for me. It was literally, again, my local video shop that never had WWF videos, but had WCW videos, which I've talked about quite a few on the Housekeepings. When this all happened, when Ken Shamrock came into the WWF, I didn't know what UFC was, but having been explained it, like you say, through these video packages and such, like we spotted in our local video shop that they must have had like the first, can't imagine it was many, maybe 6 or 7 like UFC tournaments like in there on tape, and convincing me dad to get them for us, and like being like, you know, they'd have like an 18 rating on it, and he'd be like, you sure this is wrestling? Like, yeah, it's just wrestling. That's Ken Shamrock. Do you not recognize him? He was on the telly last night. He was threatening to fight Mike Tyson. No, it's just wrestling. It's fine, dad. And getting him to rent them out for us, and like we literally watched pretty much all of like that is hashtag my UFC, those early ones where it is just a big fat bloke, you know, and a skinny bloke who knows judo, and he's punching him in the bollocks, and you know, all of those like mean fights. Yes, all of that. Yeah. Like the proper, it was freak show, but it was also like, what would happen if the sumo guy got to fight somebody who's tiny and would like literally break his hand trying to smash through his face? Oh yeah, we absolutely loved all that stuff. It was kind of mind-blowing to watch it though and go, I guess Ken Shamrock doesn't win all his fights. I guess he does lose a couple here to the Gracies and a few others as well. But oh man, it was proper pro wrestling then. It really was. It was Wild West, but it was loads of fun.
Wasn't there a Shamrock 7 match that was on one of them tapes or DVDs that was boring as shit?
The super fight one.
Yeah, I remember obviously when Severn came in '98, we'll get there. But the talk is like, well, they've won a fight each, so maybe they're going to have their rubber match in WWF. And I think, one of these days, and I remember sitting down to watch it and being like, yep, I hate MMA. Like, this is not for me. It's not the business I love, because when a fight's dull, like it's that barrier of entry for me with MMA that I've never been able to, unless I'm getting a star and I care about the result, or you have flash knockout people and the like. I just don't. I can't watch the grappling and understand what I'm seeing enough to love it.
I think there's like 3 periods. It's like that early period I liked. There's a bit like where it started to be on, I think, on Sky Sports, and Tito Ortiz was cutting great promos. And like, I like that, like that period, like that was very pro wrestling. And then obviously, like everyone would say the same thing when Brock went over in the 2010s. I think we all went through just a little period of being like, I like UFC now. It's really good. Ronda Rousey is the next big star. And just repeating things that Meltzer said and not really, like you say, fully understanding it all. Like it. I took it to its zenith. I tried to, having been years removed from wrestling training, tried to go to MMA training that my work was putting on at one point. Broke my rib in the first ever session that I did and never went back. So that didn't even happen to me in wrestling. So there you go. Shows you there is a bit of a difference there as well. But yeah, I was proper into it at one point as well. It is like I say, it's always that temptation, isn't it? Like you say with the podcast and such, to be like, it's wrestling, but it's real. I must like it, but it's always kind of missing that intangible, isn't it? Really, that brings us all back crashing to the proper stuff at some point.
Speaking of broken ribs, I just want to say shout out Dan Byrne. It didn't go well for you in the derby for Newcastle, but get well soon.
Classic stuff.
No ribs. I can't confirm if he has no spine. It's what it looked like when I was watching the game. But
that's Anthony Gordon.
Broken ribs. Yes.
Annoyingly though, a couple of weeks after people listen to this, it'll be the Benno and Hamflett derby that's happening in Liverpool in January. We don't fall out over that as well.
It'll be like by the time our mutual friend at this point, Simon Mulvaney, gets to this, we'll have played the reverse fixture in St James's Park and gotten beat or something like that. So like
it's coming. Sidge's Revenge. Well, that's probably happened by the time we put this out. But on that note, to go back to the wrestling stuff, we do, as we talked about on the preview, have a match that will become a staple over the next couple of years here in very different circumstances. We have Mankind and Rocky Maivia. This coming, if I'm right, in the shadow of the JR Mankind interview. I think we mentioned on Housekeeping here. A lot of footage of Paul Bearer. They kind of play while they're doing the intro to this match to remind you that that's still a story that's going on with Mankind. But obviously we're going to get into Rocky himself and his struggles at this point, but definitely feels like we're in the early stages of Babyface and Mankind. You can even hear it in the commentary, can't you? Like, they're struggling to loop the two things together and be like, yeah, he's fucking weird, this Mankind. Oh, by the way, he's also a dad. Like, JR's trying to go, yeah, well, anyone could be a dad, I guess. I guess that makes sense, and they're trying to leaf through both sides of Foley here.
So I think I've used this podcast. I've abused this podcast before to basically peddle my agenda that the Fed's better than everything. And I'm going to do it again because like the very delicate handling of the Mankind character I found to be quite impressive. The timeline of this is Jim Ross alludes to the fact that he's starting to learn a lot more about Mankind without outright saying he's going to do a sit-down interview with him, because just right now where we are, Mankind is required to still be a heel and be worried about Paul Bearer, and Paul Bearer's had his face burnt off by the Undertaker. And when Bearer, spoiler, returns on Raw in 24 hours after this, Mankind's got to like walk him out to the ring. But that's pretty much the end of their association, because they're about to start airing the vignettes. When we start airing the vignettes, and then it doesn't conclude by King of the Ring, but because it's been aired on TV, you've got Mankind going into King of the Ring as a little bit of a baby face. But at this point, we don't know how the vignettes are going to end, which is obviously not well for Jim Ross. So they're walking a tightrope. But as a result, the mention of talking about how he's a good dad, and also I thought this is the first time that I'm aware that Jim Ross basically just talks about Mankind's history as a wrestler, talks about him being in barbed wire death matches. And, this is the difference between Mick Foley, the wrestler's backstory, and Mankind, the piano prodigy who befriended a rat and has one ear story. They're night and day. Like, it's sort of been dropped cold, really, in order to say this man knows his way around a death match. He knows his way around weapons. And you just accept it. You're like, oh, that's why he's kind of all broken up and deranged. He's just been in hard matches rather than having he had the piano slammed on his fingers, and that's why he's got all that shit, like that's gone now. He was in really hard wearing matches and he lost his ear. That's the crack. Like,
JR's getting away with loads on this show because he throws in Ron Simmons references, doesn't he, as well, like to Farouk, which is, again, you can tell Vince is not at the office today. But you're right, it reminds you of it's Mark Mero and Sable, isn't it? Where, like, the storyline on telly is, oh, hi, I'm Mark Mero. What's your name? Sable. Hello. I'm going to save you from this evil Huddersfield Helmsley. Fast forward a week later. Yeah, they've been married for 4 years. Like, what? We're trying to have our cake and eat it too. We were still trying to thread that line between let's kayfabe and a reality here. But, like I say, it's an interesting juxtaposition because that's going on with Foley, and like you say, the crowd. I think just because he's an entertaining part of the show, I think as much as anything as well, people are warming to him. And very much the opposite is true of his opponent here, as we have a Rocky Maivia promo to get to before we get to the match itself, in which he's made to rewatch like as some kind of punishment his Survivor Series debut, his IC title win, and then loss, and then gets asked a very short question about whether it all came too soon. He says he learned a hell of a lot. He had lots on the way up, but even more on the way down, mate. It's been like 3 months. But it's not about destiny. It's about determination. And it's like, fuck me, you are drowning. And that's before we even get into the match.
I hate him. Like this promo, I've been trying to stay the right side of the line with The Rock, because we all have heard the story a million times, and you want to be on the right side of the history with him, don't you? And you want to say, like they were chanting Rocky sucks because of the booking. It wasn't like the man himself didn't have this like talent just waiting to burst out. And as soon as they figured out the character, the man himself could come forth. No, like I don't care what the booking was. I don't care what the character was. I have seen wrestlers and talkers elevate worse material than this. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, could not elevate. I mean, this was bad material. You're right. A recap of how your life's gone to shit in 6 months is not exactly a standing start for a babyface. But the greats can do it, and he was not a great at this point. He has got nothing. Like, he doesn't believe in the character, his promo deliveries. He's still like got the stumbo bumbos over some of the lines. He never quite gets it quite right, does he? You know, incredible look, incredible body, moves well. So, like, you can see why a lot of people were going to persist with him and were going to make it work. But if ever somebody needed to just stand in the mirror, and like that was where the 1,000 hours needed to be spent, it was Dwayne Johnson here. This is, I did not like him. I was wanting Mankind. Like, you made a point about Mankind getting the kind of the sentimental crowd on side. I think there's two sides to this story. Yes, there's a Rocky sucks chant and a die Rocky die and all that stuff that we've heard a million times. But I think they've seen Mankind like die against the Undertaker. They've seen him been willing to die for his art. What's Rocky Maivia sacrificed by comparison? There is a good guy in this match, and it is Mankind.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to talk about it when we get to a certain match later in the car. But like, I think what makes Foley different is like he grew up a proper wrestling fan, and he kind of knows what's entertaining, and he can manage to be a heel and also be entertaining when he's on there. He's not for example, what I'm going to talk about later, a Crush who thinks I'm going to get heat by putting on a nerve holder. We're going to sit here for 10 minutes. Like, those types of wrestlers are on the way out at this point. And like, people, I think Foley's one of those wrestlers like Austin is, who realizes it's a fucking television product at this point, lads. You know, the time that you're on TV shouldn't be like the type of heat that makes people want to turn the telly off. You want them to be engaged no matter what. And yes, that does bleed into some positive reactions, and it goes against some wrestling logic. But you can tell he's tapped in a way that other heels at the time aren't either. And like, I was going to say, the struggles that Rock, I completely echo your point, because like it goes through to the match as well. Like the layout of this thing, like they start with Foley, you know, doing his Raven thing in the corner, and you can tell they're trying to get it to a hot start. Having Rock go straight for him with the punches and a clothesline. He takes Foley to the outside. Then he slaps a hammer on. Literal silence. You get a little bit more noise when, to the point, Foley fights back a little bit, makes it a bit more scrappy, hits like that Liger senton off the apron on the outside. That gets more of a reaction than anything Rocky does to that point of the match. And then, obviously, you know, Foley being a pro, he tries to get some heat going, so there's some punches and knees and kicks and your traditional big 90s heat. But it's just dying. The hope spots are dying. People just aren't with it with Rock, to the point where, like, to kind of like bring you in, like, where Foley tries to bring the crowd in is by getting Rock. He's like, fuck, this is not working. It's not over. What have I done in the past to get matches over? Fuck it, I'm just going to die. And you can tell he calls an audible and says to Rock, pull me outside, mate. Let's go out there. Let's fight for a bit. They do a bit of punch kick, and you're thinking, okay, Foley's trying to get closer to the people to get a bit of reaction. No, he's not. He's trying to get to the lovely entrance trap that they got here, and he takes a fucking stiff rock bottom on the ramp, and good Lord, does that get a reaction? And he can tell us a little bit in Foley's head. Was like, I've won here. I've gotten them. He hasn't quite, because the rest of what Rock does in the match doesn't get much going. But like, you can tell he's just thinking, again, the way he thinks is different than every other wrestler. What can I do to get this young lad over? Fuck it, I'll kill myself. And it would not be the last time he'd do this with Dwayne Johnson, but in much better circumstances later.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you say the light switch went off in Mick Foley's head, the light switch went off in Rock's going,
this is it,
the shit out of this guy's going to make me some money. Like, he wrote this one down. Christ, that spot. Because The Rock, you remember against Hogan and we praised him for it, and rightfully so, how he read the tea leaves and he just snapped into being the heel with like the slightest of changes. Like, he'd been the babyface for so many, WrestleMania 18 I'm talking about. Like, for so many years, he'd been the baby face, and all it took was like just the way he arched his shoulders and a little bit of a spit and a scowl, and suddenly in Toronto, in front of 60,000 people, he's a perfect heel to Hogan's baby face. Yes. I think Dwayne Johnson is getting so pissed off at the audience not going for this babyface act. A little bit of that like creeps out in him here, and it's right before Mankind says rock bottom me on the floor. Like, the Rock looks like he's going to go back in the ring, and then he turns around and he's like, "Yeah, you son of a bitch," and he just grabs Foley really aggressively, almost to the point where like it undermines what Foley's trying to do, isn't it? Like, he's probably Foley's thinking, as you say, well, hang on, this is pretty much saved the Undertaker's entire run. Surely I can have a bit of that rub off on this kid. He'll look like an ass-kicking babyface. The mood has changed. Steve Austin's dictating the flow of everything. And Rock is just so angry at the way that his career's going. It's like, fuck you. And like, just destroys him. And all of a sudden, you're left with the crumpled mess of Mankind. You're like, come here, Mick, and you want to pick him up and cradle him. Get the fuck out of the way, Rock. Like, it's like
totally.
The spot as well. Again, like, I can't, maybe I'm just projecting, but it's like you've been saying about Jim Ross on the commentary. There's something about the specificity of this spot that I feel like Vince McMahon might have said no to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It reminds me of those like lauded 1994 Cactus Jack and Max Payne tags. It's so violent. It's just a random out of nowhere act of violence from the blue chipper. Do you know what I mean? This is not third generation Rocky Maivia, grandson of Peter Maivia, the High Chief. He's not rock bottoming people on the steel, is he? And it's just whoa, like that. And like it works because it just makes the fans make noise, but it does nothing. It does nothing for your goodie, does it? He's finished in this role. He's done. He's done.
And that's the other thing about it as well. You know, like you say, yeah, Foley's tapping into that part of his brain from WCW where, like, you know, he almost squashed himself to death with Vader, or like did a lot of those types of spots with Sting, you know, which I know Sting didn't need the help to get over, but it gave him a bit more legitimate like schism there as well. But you're right, it's not stuff outside of like odd bits that you'd see in the Undertaker rivalry that he'd be doing much in WWF at this point. But you're right, it is all kind of an out because like maybe again, like the inkling I've got here about like the audience changing and this becoming more of like a proper TV product. It's not really The Rock that gets like the shine from this. It's more like, oh, did you see how Foley landed? And that kind of becomes his career, doesn't it? For the next couple of years, it's more the heat ends up on him rather than Rock, because he follows it up with a belly to belly that doesn't really get over. A couple of inside cradles, get the really heatless near falls, and like, yeah, it's just he does at one point. I think Foley again is probably trying to call an audible, like do something mean to me. He does the same clothesline to the back of the head that China does earlier in the show. It's just not as good as China. These AEW agents, mate, you know, doing the same spot 2 matches in a row, you can't buy them these days. But like, you can tell Foley's trying, and outside those like little moments, it's not getting over. And really, the key is the finish. Like they go to Rock hitting a shoulder breaker. I always hated that as a finish. I was supposed to knock you out. I've got a sore shoulder. I better stay down forever now. Never made any sense for me. Goes for the crap crossbody that obviously Randy Orton with well, I say crap. It looked good, but Randy Orton would steal later in his career. But like where the crowd actually come alive is the counter to the crossbody as Mankind rolls through right into the claw, which is proper high level good stuff. Yeah. And like whether it's the spot or it's Foley or it's just not liking Rock, again, the loudest the crowd have been pretty much the entire match, and a cracking finish. Doesn't really do much for Rocky, but to your point, I don't think he does much for himself here. It is all Mick Foley.
Yeah, slick as you like from Foley, this was. Just like, yet again, like you go to Jim Ross trying to stock this roster with potential like MVPs. And, you know, we've sort of debated the pros and cons of someone like a Vader and Mark Mero. They're not all going to be home runs, but they can offer something, and they can very clearly offer you something. And Crush, as we're about to talk about, is a great example of somebody that at this point virtually offers you nothing. And the difference is so apparent. And then when you do get an MVP figure, like The Rock would become, like Triple H briefly would become, but like Austin and Mankind are here, it's transformative. It really is. Like, have you got an argument here to say that if Brett and Shawn are still the 2 pound for pound best wrestlers on this roster, right underneath them, and I mean right underneath them, Nat's hair underneath them, and Mick Foley and Steve Austin, you know? Yeah. And it's almost like these last 2 holdouts from the new generation and 2 crucial signings by Jim Ross. You kind of need a hybrid of all of them, don't you?
Yeah, massively. And like from a character point of view, like those 2 lads would lap as much as we love Shawn and Brett. Both of those guys, from like being enthralled and TV characters, like they're even another level above that. But yeah, you need that. You need those different players. We always talk about as Foley as the 3rd most important guy in the Attitude Era, not Triple H, not The Undertaker. And it's because of those intangibles that you absolutely rightly say he brings out of other people, as we often talk about, brings out of Rocky, brings out of Triple H, as we often talk about in 2000, and same with The Undertaker in the lead up to this as well. That's why he is so valuable. But yeah, like we're saying, only so much you can do with this young Rocky Maivia in 1997, which takes us to our next one, which is obviously we talked a little bit about it, which we referenced it on Housekeeping, the build to this one, the Nation of Domination versus Ahmed Johnson, as we have been building on TV, this idea of a gauntlet match. We even had the practice matches in it on Raw. It shows some of the highlights here of the Nation and their hijinks leading into it. And Big Med has made clear all the way through he wants Farouk first. He wants to take them all out. And obviously on the line here is also the future of the Nation of Domination and whether they can stick together. And we get some great sports entertainment bullshit on the lead up to and the opening to this one.
Honestly, man, and it is bollocks. Like, Crush beats up some jobbers to try and illustrate what's going to happen to Ahmed, and the third one is Ahmed in a mask, and it's all that kind of Memphis type clown stuff. But the proof is in the pudding, and still the most, and I'm including the main eventers here, the most over babyface on this entire show. A fucking monster reaction. He's so over. He's so class. He's got water all over his head. He's got 50 knee pads. He's got the Robbie Fowler nasal slip. My shirt's off. He's unbelievable. He is. I know his skin literally glistens from how much oil and water he's tipped over himself before he's come out of the ring. But the man shines. We've said it. I would have pushed him to the moon in 1996. He's barely got a muscle still attached to the rest of his body by 1997. I'd push him just as hard. The Ahmed Johnson, honestly, stop the clocks and turn them back, and let's live in a universe where Ahmed Johnson gets the push and wins it all, because he's still fucking next level. Still, even now.
Which is funny, because he can't promo and he can't wrestle. But like I say, you can't teach what he has. We have to recap. We get the Nation rap intro, which I always liked. I always knew the words to that one in 1997. You get an inset promo with him where he just talks unintelligible Ahmed Johnson nonsense. You basically get out of it that he wants Farouk first and you're going down, etc., and all those things in it. And and I was looking at it going, maybe we should sell these Ahmed Johnson stocks. Maybe it's not happening to him. But the same reaction as you. He walks out, he pours that bottle of it, I think it's Evian water, on top of himself. And it is just, you can't teach that reaction. You can't teach that just natural connection he's got with the people. You're absolutely right. Steve Austin's the man at this point. Steve Austin's going to be the man for a few years after this as well. Steve Austin's not actually getting these reactions on his entrance yet. No. The glass smash isn't an immediate pop yet. You get a cheer, not as big a cheer as the Undertaker yet. It's getting there, and the ones who know what's coming. Ahmed arguably gets the Austin pop on this show, and it's just through walking out with a bottle of water. Genuinely, you can't teach it.
It's brilliant. It's obviously you've got Gorilla basically harassing the Nation to the stage.
I love that.
So Ahmed's got the equivalent of a fair fight. You see Savio limping, they'll give you a little payoff for that in a little bit. But even then, I'm sort of flashing back to being old enough to know better, but still relieved that Ahmed's going to have something close to a fair fight, because I believe he can beat the three Nation members, so I understand why he would believe it. And I want him. It's that wrestling brain thing that we talked about. Wrestling is very effective because it knows that a lot of its audience have got a different strain of OCD and like things to be completed and like things to be neat and tidy. And the Nation have just been doubling and trebling up on Ahmed for so long. You proper root for him to get this done. I don't know, maybe I don't want to speak for both of us, but I just remember how this felt. And I'm thinking, I think he can do this, and I need him to. It's not fair, and he's got to stop them. And somehow they've agreed to take this stipulation, and maybe tonight's the night. I buy it. I buy the ramifications.
Yeah, and it makes me even more annoyed when he eventually joins them, and it's come on, I was cheering for you. But the same way about Sting when he joins the NWO Wolfpack, it's I like the Wolfpack, but he was fighting the NWO for 2 years. Come on, what are we doing? But also, this has been going on for about 2 years at this point. It feels like, maybe that's the other part of it, that we've had multiple they're going to finally pay this thing off, and then we never fucking pay this thing off, and we're actually getting the advertised match for once. Maybe that's part of it too. But you're right. For the efforts of Crush, who tries to make sure it's not the case, the crowd are into this, and like you say, obviously we have the shenanigans with the Nation with Gorilla throwing them all out, and yes, heels being heels, Farouk does not go first, and we do get Crush instead. And I feel like these are almost three matches, aren't they? And we can kind of talk about them in turn, but they're easy to talk about. One's terrible, one's all right, and one's just right, I think, out of these three. And the one that's terrible is that kicks us off. So again, good escalation as we go through, as it is, like I say, Crush that opens things up. And really, to sum it up, Ahmed batters him. Crush sandbags. Like you say there, the juxtaposition between him and a Foley, where he just can't take a back or a face bump without landing, doing that awkward cane thing and sticking his leg out. That's pretty much the Bryan Adams way at this point. Like, and I know he's getting stiffed all over the place by Tony, but come on, man, you don't have to land on your feet for everything. You're cut off. You heat. It might be the safest thing you can do. It doesn't have to be a fucking sleeper and then kicks and stomps, but of course it is. And yeah, there isn't really much here. You get a few hope spots from Ahmed, but it tells you, again, the crowd are into the story and they're into him, but they don't even waste the time with the comeback. It's just Ahmed hits a heel kick and beats Crusher against the run of play, and it's almost like the one you just want to get out the way, don't you? Because good lord, does he do his best to bring us back kicking and screaming to 1995 here, does old Bryan.
I did wonder if and this pops up a little bit in a match elsewhere on the show, I did wonder if like a shot a little bit earlier in the match had just put Crush in a bad mood, and it's just like, you know what, I have to fight this guy on house shows every week. I have to fight him on TV. I'm getting sick of getting knocked about. That screaming scissors kick that Ahmed hits in the first couple of minutes on Crush's back, it's just not a work, is it? You just see the full brunt of that thick leg smash on Crush's back. He's like, as he's hitting it. And you're just like, fair enough. Like, that's Ahmed. The kick that he counters out with the heart punch with, he just like full force drills him with it. Like, you feel like it's like a cartoon where Crush is going to get sent back 40 feet or something. He's class, man. He's the best.
We love him. We love him. We love our Ahmed, and yeah, you can tell that old Bryan didn't. But like, I feel like that part of the match is almost like, again, if we're going to structure this like a 90s match, that's almost like it's kind of your shine, it's a bit of your heat, and then like you alluded to there, Savio then comes in as the second man, not limping, hits a spin kick immediately, and like a gobshite starts hopping around on the outside. I did enjoy that, but this is almost your heat section of the match, isn't it? It's really well done. It's a lot more punch kick. It's another nerve hold, because of course it is, but like, you know, you do actually get a bit of fun here where I think Ahmed does like a hip toss and follows it with like some weird thing he's going for off the top rope, which is like half splash, half, I don't know, flying headbutt or something like that. Which brought me right bang back into the match. Brilliant.
People haven't seen this. You've got to watch it. We talked about this last month on Revenge of the Taker. Mick Foley takes that bump where he goes head first through the table and he actually makes a hole in the table. It's like Ahmed's trying to do that to the ring. He's just like,
and I believe in him. That's good.
But he was missiling through the canvas. Like, it's just like when Savio rolls to the floor and Ahmed's got to chase him, he looks fucked. He's just like, he's the one that's supposed to be like giving chase to Savio, come here and all that. And he's leaning on the apron for dear life. I don't know if he's knacked his neck or he's just gassed or whatever it is. He's an agent of chaos, man, honestly.
And not more said than that. That is like, get to like a little bit of a comeback in this mini match, which again kind of fits as like a hope spot, like in the center of the match. And you're right, he like dodges Savio in the corner, hits a really dangerous looking suplex. It's a horrible looking power slam. It's all great stuff. And unfortunately, Savio's the one having to take it. And just when you think he is coming back, and if this was a regular match, this would be a run to the finish. I think it's really clever. He's going for the Pale River Plunge. Savio bails to the outside, hits a super kick, and just does it's the Rick Rude, Ricky Steamboat, isn't it, in their Iron Man match? And I know it's been copied a few times in other Iron Man matches. It's like, well, this isn't actually the important one here. This isn't the cup final. This is the semi-final. So I'm just gonna fucking take him out, and he just gets a steel chair and just beats the shit out of Ahmed. Which it's great healing, isn't it? It's like, yeah, of course, that's what you should do. He's just setting him up on a plate for the boss in the final stretch of this. Great utility player as our Savio, willing to take one for the team here.
Yeah, another good night for Savio in a series of them. Like one of the MVPs of this podcast, without a shadow of a doubt. Like very quietly holding up a few of these like lower and mid cards. I think that's going to die in its arse when he joins the Bariquas. I think he starts crushing it. You know, I think he starts realizing that I'm one of four now. I can take my foot off the gas a little bit. But so this might be our last truly great night with Savio. But I thought he was tremendous here. What a little bastard move. To just, and he, again, Ahmed, remember the battering he took off Jeff Jarrett with the disc?
Yeah, it was like that.
This is like Savio with a chair. He's like, there's something about the way that he like kind of crumbles to his knees because Ahmed's just such like a monolith that when you're bringing him down with a weapon, like you really feel sympathetic for him, even though he's this monster, don't you? And now and then it's this nation trick, isn't it? So Farouk's still got his arm in the sling, and then he's done the same as Savio. He pulls the sling off, and he's like, "Oh my ass!" I was like, "You bastards, you absolute bastards."
There's an element of it like as well, like that you see in a match that's coming after this one, where it's like, well, he hits them hard enough. You've got to get that licks in while he can. Jeff Jarrett did, like you say, with the record where he smashed over literally the back of their head as a shoot, and Savio's getting a couple of licks in for the boys here as well. Like it's all fair in love and war. And to be fair, Tony takes it like a man, and that brings us into, of course, the leader of the gang, Farouk, comes in, or Ron Simmons, as like I say, JR refers to him several times in this section. And I love this section of the match because it almost feels like they know what they've got here. Like you said there, people are invested in this. People want to see Ahmed overcome. They want to see him come back. And I don't feel like in this last stretch that they waste too much time with like Farouk on top. He gets a bit of a beat down on Ahmed, but they know the money is in Ahmed against all odds, fighting back. He gets a roll up, crowd pop big. He hits a spine buster on Farouk pretty much right away. Crowd pop big, like he gets the power of a plunge, doesn't he, at one point as well, but can't quite pin him, can't quite get himself over for a few seconds, and that gives like Farouk an out as well. And it's like, again, against the run of play, it looks like Ahmed's going to pull out. People are going crazy for it, and we often talk about it on this show, and I think it's the right way, like a heel should win in these circumstances. You just kind of just get that cut off and like that hard stop as Farouk hits the great move of the mid-90s, the chop block on Earl Ahmed, hits a dominator and he wins, and it's relatively clean if you ignore all of the odds that were stacked before. But it's a great little just momentum stop, and it's a great little, you've got the crowd right in that frenzy at that right moment, and then you pull the rug out and the baddies win again. I think it's really well done for a match that starts absolutely terribly. I actually think it's a really good bit of business there once you piece the three together here.
Yeah, I completely agree. You have to kind of you have to rate this as one experience, I think, rather than the individual sum of its parts. And yeah, like Farouk, the kick out off that Pearl River plunge, that's a hot ass near fall. Like the building, they've got him. That's that thing, isn't it? Where one's whispering in the other's ear, like, we've got him, let's go home. You know, that's like, they must be buzzing with that. The booking has worked, the build has worked. Farouk's Dominator is vile on Ahmed, because obviously Ahmed's so big, and he, like, the Dominator was always, I love the Dominator, but it's got that risk attached to it, isn't it? And Ahmed's,
it's got like that styles clash element where people are used to landing a certain way, and they're just not ready for the direction the body's going to go. Never mind Ahmed Johnson. He's never ready for the body he's going to go, the way his body's going to go.
But yeah, like a brilliant effort from Ahmed Johnson in general. Good booking, like fun action after the Crush match kind of wrapped up. I had a really good time with this. I was fully prepared for, like, I think we even said this, after that first kidney injury, I remember both of us sort of agreeing that the good times are over with Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah.
But this 1997 run, this continuation, has been way more entertaining than I remember. Brilliant.
Massive. I think we're going to be disappointed at points as we get through the year, but I'll just take as much Ahmed as we could possibly get. Maybe we'll squeeze a bit extra of him in the housekeeping as this thing develops further. But it is a story that's gone on too long, but it feels like it's kind of peaking at the right time that you need it to. And yeah, very, very good stuff that I didn't necessarily remember there. But yeah, that takes us to we have a bit of I was going to say backstage, but we have a bit of footage of Vader battering Goldust from Raw. Maybe you can fill some of us in. This is where they do show some of that footage of Ken on commentary with the close-ups of the face and such. They have a bit of a Vader promo here as well, which again, not a strong point, but we show the attack again from the free-for-all. They're really making sure that you see this footage. And yeah, Vader says something about you're playing with a boy or something like that. You think you've been the world's most dangerous man, or you've not met me, all that stuff. Something about strategy. It's all very Sid build, this old Leon promo here. But yeah, bit of colour and a bit of a decent build for this one for old Kenny's first, at least, proper pay-per-view match. Yeah,
they kind of they made some chicken salad from some chicken shit here, obviously, because Vader was in bother, wasn't he, in Q8 for roughing up that breakfast TV host.
They love bringing that up, don't they? They really do.
Yeah, and like initially he wasn't on television for the start of this build, which allowed Ken Shamrock to drop in that, you know, Vader's been a bully, which I guess was going to be the theme of Shamrock's debut anyway. but they've folded in Vader's legal trouble to the point that when he comes back, it's Jim Ross mentioning it to him, you know, like, do you not think you didn't handle yourself very well out there, and maybe you're being a bully? And Vader's like, oh, you want me to be a bully? I'll show you what it is to be a bully. And he looks like he's going to attack Jim Ross, and Shamrock's there to make the save. Goldust at this point has been baby-faced by his sit-down interviews with Jim Ross, so he's a good target for Vader, because I think the booking is now starting to position Goldust as a sensitive father figure. So Vader being unnecessarily malicious to a Goldust is that extra added thing. But I did like Vader. I'm the low guy on Vader on these pods, but I did like the line at least. ABC says that Ken Shamrock's the most dangerous man in the world, but they said nothing about the World Wrestling Federation. I was like, that's good stuff. That's like the Jerry Lawler does it in the match as well on commentary. He's like, I haven't seen any of that UFC crap. This is the World Wrestling Federation. And it's a bit like Austin facing off with Tyson in 1998, where it's like, yeah, they may call you the baddest man on the planet for your boxing, but you're looking into the beady eyes of the world's toughest son of a bitch. And it's like, hang on, like what we watch is the fake one. But as long as the wrestlers believe it, I'll believe it as well.
I always got to pop that in school. I always used to like throwing that in. Oh, do you like boxing? Nah, it's fake. Don't like it. Only like wrestling. Like it's the kayfabe version of that, isn't it? But I much prefer it to like JR drops in a few lines in this one. Like he did when Mankind takes the rock bottom bump. He's like, oh, they tell you that they know how to fall, but how do you learn how to fall on a say 20-foot ladder? It's on a ramp. Yeah. And it's like, it's a bit kayfabe breaking to bring that up all the time, JR. Yeah. I prefer it this way. And I was like, no, that's all shit. This is where the real baddest men in the world are. Yeah, I think it's good, and it raises the stakes for Kenny's full introduction here. And in this match that, like, I don't know if you got a better hold of the rules than me. We're still, again, early days of UFC. They're trying to get over Ken. He's had like that Raw match where it's like MMA rules. They call it a no-hold bar match. It's basically MMA rules, but no standing 8 counts, I think JR says at one point. Yeah. There's breaks in the ropes. I mean, it's not quite Ambition. It's not quite one of those the UWF I style, but essentially it's that we're going for here. There's a lot of Japan references, a lot of from JR. Vader was very good at this style in Japan, which is very much from Hunter's playbook in NXT. It's always like that weird mystery land where people got over, but don't watch it. Just trust our word that's where they've been this entire time. But yeah, they're trying to like blur the lines, aren't they, between wrestling and UFC in this match style.
I think, we'll talk about how they do that in the match in just a second, but I think a key problem, and it would become a benefit, but a key problem from trying to keep Shamrock like tethered to UFC at this point, and this detail wouldn't really last very long, would it? They'd keep the world's most dangerous man, but fairly quickly, like they kind of move him into just being a guy that snaps. That kind of become what, and Shamrock's zone and all that kind of stuff. And I think like I love it, but it's where it doesn't really work with the UFC presentation. His entrance music is this like sort of very smiley, jazzy tune. Yeah. And he takes the robe off, and the man has got the most perfect wrestler body there is. Like,
always said that.
I don't care what like real fighters look like. That man's an airport test A-star. Like you were like,
he was like a perfect square. Like I don't know how he pulls it off.
Like he's got like Finn Balor abs on like a sort of a Dwayne Johnson frame. It's perfection. And I know that he was he was a pro wrestler before he was a fighter, wasn't he? Ken Shamrock. Yeah. Old Vince Torelli or whatever he was called. But like it just the way that he kind of looks. I'd forgotten somehow that he was in that skin-tight referee gear at WrestleMania 13. It's not like he was hiding his muscles, but there's something different about seeing him in the boots and trunks, isn't there?
Yeah, massively. And it's almost like, it's a bit like, and it's not a nice thing to bring up, but it's a bit like when Vince first starts popping his top off and you're like, fucking hell. Yeah. Like he's been hiding that under the suit this entire time. It's like the reveal, isn't it? Except Ken looks a lot more, it's in a positive way rather than a look at that fucking freak way with Vince, but totally, like immediately he is. He's literally, he's what you'd want he's good looking lads, He's got a nice haircut. He's chiseled, nice gear, Like it's all perfect for like the wrestling side of things. And like you say there about like the match itself, like it's a hard one to break down this because it's not structured like most of these undercard matches are quite patterned. This one, like I say, they are going for like that faux MMA stuff, and it's got very like I went to the the Tetsujin shoot style shows that took place in Liverpool and Manchester, and it's got like that same thing that you see all like the ambition shows in WXW, where you're like they're circling each other, they're hitting a couple of kicks to each other, a couple of strikes, and nothing's really happening. But I've always had a bit of a soft spot for this style. I can't quite see it being your thing, but I love the idea of like, yes, the crowd aren't really into some of that early stuff, but what it makes mean more is when you do bump, because like as much as like nothing kind of happens for large swathes of this match, when stuff does happen, just a simple German suplex or a hard strike or something like that, I feel like maybe it's just me, but the people are into it. The people react it's almost like they've been retrained to what's important. It's the type of thing a Bully Ray would tell you on a 2025 podcast about what we need to do about wrestling. We need to reset the clock and make the bumps and the spots mean more. But like, I can't see this style being for you, but I think there's something to it every time I see it. And I think this is a decent enough example of the genre.
No, I would say broadly it's not for me, but a couple of things here. I'd seen this match quite a bit, and I knew going into this review that it's for me, it's one like the Vader high points. There's not many of them, I don't think, in WWE especially, but this is one of them. I mean, half of it is him getting the shit kicked out of him, but like we'll get to it, I suppose. But I've been lucky enough to attend the last 3 blood sports.
Of course, Bloodsport. That's the best example we're talking about, of course. I
get exactly why a lot of people think that's a load of shit. Because on telly, I kind of don't have time for it. But live, I kind of love it. Like, it's there's something to that first time that somebody, you've stood there and you've watched, and as you say, you've watched people circle, and it's all very, like, everything's very careful. And then out of nowhere, somebody kind of has a bit of a run and takes them down. Or like the wrestlers fall out of the ring for the first time, and it's exhilarating. You say, "Oh my god!" Like, or a knockout punch just floors them where they stand, and you're just like, "That's great stuff." The one thing I'll say for this, I think it's better than all of that. I think it's better than Bloodsport. I think it's better than what UWFI have seen. And I'm not just saying that because it's in a WWF ring, by the way, but I think it almost bends the rules of the kayfabe reality pretty much from the word go, because Shamrock kicks Vader and Vader screams in pain, and that's the first move in the match. And I don't know if that's a work, because I know that the apocrypha around this match, obviously elements of it are a work, and then when Vader is like telling Shamrock to ease up, Shamrock's getting a bit paranoid that Vader's like trying to shoot on him and trying to like take advantage of him. So as a result, Shamrock doesn't fully listen to the instructions and goes harder. So then Vader's like, all right, cunt, I need to get you back for this. Like, I guess we're doing potatoes and receipts right now. And it just, so then it does spiral, and then they get it back on track. And it's kind of like your background there, that little waveform. That's how this match plays out, where like they're working the shooting, they're working the shooting, and the energy, the tension, the frisson as a result, pretty much from that first scream by Vader, I think sets a tone like unlike many matches ever. I think this is on an island, this one. I think like you've seen other work shoots in WWE, but I don't know if they're as effective as this, because I think half the time it's not a work, it's very much a shoot. Like when Vader's doing that, we've all seen the bear claw boof that just like takes out Shamrock, and he spins, doesn't he?
Oh, he sells it great though as well. He does.
Brilliant. But Vader,
if it's a sell,
if it's a sell, the ease up that we're talking about, Vader is walking back up to the stairs,
very early on,
hoping the camera misses it, going ease up, ease up. Shamrock's not done half the stuff he'd actually do to him across this match, and he's already telling him from a broken nose through his mask to fucking calm down. Like the kicks and the punches. Like you just hear flesh. You just hear crunching bones and flesh off and Vader going, like it's mad.
I think it's why I love it. I think it is. You nailed it. It's sewn on WWF. And I hadn't thought of it that way, that maybe they were trying to play the lines, and maybe they were trying to work the sheets or work us at home, and maybe there's an element of let's make it look like we went too far, but we don't really go too far. Because I bought into it. I was totally watching it going, this is Leon getting a taste of his own medicine here. Like it literally is, like you say. The ease up comes very, very early. Like you say, Ken just keeps kicking him. At one point, he hits like a 1-2-3 Kid-esque spin kick. I don't remember him doing that in the UFC, but he's trying to pepper in some like wrestling stuff. I like to say Vader comes back with like a very stiff-looking clothesline that makes you think, okay, he's laying it in a bit. Then they try and go to the bit of the ground stuff, which I think is less interesting. It's Vader trying to grab arm bars, which doesn't really work. Although the crowd are behind Shamrock already, he's over and they're kind of chanting for him. His ground works a lot better than Vader's when he takes over. But you're totally right. It's those bits, or even like the bit where, like at that point of the match, like Shamrock's got that armbar on Vader, and Vader, I think, is supposed to pick him up and powerbomb him in a spot we've seen a million times, but he literally can't get him all the way up. So he just launches him over his head instead, does like a suplex. I love the danger of it. I love the nastiness of it. I think that all adds to it.
There's a bit where he like throws him out the ring, and it's as if
the front suplex. Like, that's again, right. Then yeah.
Like it could totally be a work. But equally, you believe Vader just needs rid of him to get a breather because he looks fucked up. I don't know if his breathing's an issue because of the broken nose under the mask, or he's just gassed because he's found himself in a bit of a boxing match at various points. And then whenever, like, again, I keep mentioning it, but before that, like that grizzly bear paw attack that everybody would have seen the gif of. If you've not seen this match, you'll have seen that moment in it. Like Shamrock is absolutely pulverizing Vader in the corner. And Vader does this sort of like limp shove to get him away. And you can almost feel Vader needing to get a breath just a second. And Shamrock's like, nah, I'm like bang, bang, bang again. And that's what forces Vader to be like, you know what, then have one of these. It's so real feeling. And I know none of it can be real because real fights in the street after a nightclub don't look like this. But like I've seen enough worked pro wrestling that look a bit like this, but not with this many stiff punches, kicks, and elbows. Like that's where your John Moxley's draw the line and hold back. I could not get over how hard Shamrock was hitting Vader.
No.
Like, and I'm not a big Vader fan, but for all the times he seems to get his kicks kind of roughing up people, I actually think he exerts a little bit of patience here, trying to get the match back under control. And it's only when he has to he only has to smack a bit of sense into Ken that he actually fires back. I think a lot of the time he's like gritting his teeth. I want to fucking hit you, pal, but I'm trying to keep this at work. I'm trying to keep the train on the tracks. But in a minute, I'm going to have to deck you. And then when he does, it's like a reset, and then they go again. And Shamrock just can't help it, and it builds back up, and the same thing loops and repeats. And I love this. I love this.
I'm so glad to hear you say it, because like it's that wrestler brain though as well, isn't it? To tap into your point, like. You see it with like a JBL or like other bullies that you see in wrestling over time. Like they'll beat the shit out of like nobodies, but then when like somebody comes in with a real boxing background or an MMA background or a wrestling background like a Kurt Angle, you don't take liberties with those guys. One, because they're fucking scared of them.
Or Joey Styles.
Yeah, or Joey Styles, he might lock you on Stocky Balboa. That might happen to you too if you're such a cunt that you pick on Joey Styles of all people. But you know what I mean? It's like there's that element of like, and you'd even get it with like the football players. Like, well, he's a real athlete. You know, there's other people who, if they tried to come into this business and they haven't wrestled for 6 months and they're going to be beating me, is that going to happen? But when they come from real sports, there's that extra element of like, oh, I guess I respect that. Then I'll give him that bit of respect. And I think you get that from Leon. I think if this was anybody else, no matter what the element of work or shoot here is, I think he'd be hitting back that little bit harder. I actually think the restraint comes because he's in there with Ken Shamrock, and it's kind of the same restraint actually that he has with Shawn Michaels for very, very different reasons. But it's like, I better not, because he'll fucking kill me. I better not, because there is still an element of work to this. Like you noted there, like the suplex to the outside spot. To me, that's very pro wrestling. That's very MMA guy brained. Ken Shamrock came into wrestling, was like, oh yeah, just suplex me over the top rope. I'll land on my head. I can take anything. I'll go for that. And Leon going, all right, then sound, we'll do that. There's a wrestling spot for the match. So you do kind of seesaw, as you say, between the two things. But yeah, every time they go back to it, like some of the grappling isn't for me. Some of Vader's leg locks and the judo choke that he hits on Shamrock isn't necessarily for me. But like I say, he doesn't quite punch as hard as he would when he eventually just has enough of them. But like, there's enough of both in there, even down to like Vader doing his Vader bomb tease, but going for the moonsault instead, which he'd always do. And I always hated it because it's always like, well, you need to be close for the Vader bomb. And there's no way he's hitting this moonsault because we've seen it a million times. And he goes way too far for it. Only for this time, actually, for him to miss it. But Shamrock doesn't get out the way quick enough, does he? So he still kind of half hits it in there. He kind of, to be honest, it's more of a shoot moonsault than any other Vader one you hit in there. But there's those wrestling elements of it to the point where, like you say, it all builds to it's that interaction in the corner, which, call me a mark, I just took as a shoot. Like Ken just laying in with those stiff strikes in the corner with just no reaction really from Vader, to the point where I genuinely think he's half knocked out here. I think when he hits the Corbin forearm you mentioned there, because it is only one, and Shamrock does go flying, and there's a pro wrestling element to the way he sells it, but like it's just that, because it's only one, Leon's gone, fuck this, I'm getting my money back. I'm getting him back with one. And he hits him so hard, and Shamrock goes down so hard. But then Vader seems more out of it than Ken even is at that point. Yeah. And I always feel like the ref taps into that and goes, yeah, we're going to the finish here, lads. And it's very quick then, isn't it? It's just straight into the grapevine. And then he gets the tap out with the with the ankle lock there after. There was a little bit of teasing with other leg submissions before that, but it does feel like a bit of reaction to what has just come before. To like, okay, we've gone a bit too real here. Let's just get back to the finish and get back to the wrestling stuff and finish it. But like you say, that seesaw, perfect way of putting it, that juxtaposition of the two different things I don't think it's a perfect match by any means, but it's such a fascinating one to watch back and forth. And I almost don't want to know now, like, which elements of it are real and which ones are fake. And that's the beauty of when you can pull a match like this off.
You can see why they kind of couldn't stick with this as Ken Shamrock's direction. I think as early as like the next month's pay-per-view cycle, because obviously, you know, he's going to be in the babyface team for the Canadian Stampede 10-man. Yeah. And he's going to be out there. With, you know, like
that's that soon. That's crazy. To me, that's a year later. It's mad.
That's it. He's going to be out there with 9 other far more experienced wrestlers, and most of them are like very experienced at Fed style matches as well. And already, I mean, I don't think, by the way, this is scaling Shamrock down. I think he becomes a fantastic, you know, call it sports entertainer, whatever. I think they nail ultimately what the right Ken Shamrock needs to be. But I think you couldn't keep him as this version of himself, because it's a bit like the problem they run into in 98 with the Brawl for All. It's really hard to have your top babyface calling himself the toughest SOB when you've got other people running around claiming to be the hardest legit fighters, because how does that work? Like, all of a sudden, are you examining Austin's fists and fire and stomping a mud hole? Because it doesn't compare to what Ken Shamrock's doing to Vader. You know, like it can't sort of, who's the real hard man if Steve Austin's the guy that can beat up everybody? It doesn't, it's probably the worst time to have a hard man babyface, because your real hard man babyface is the fictional guy in the main event. You know, if you do it in even as recent as 2022, like John Moxley would have wanted the Blackpool Combat Club to be baby faces and would have wanted that style to just be popular for them being tough, you know? Like, this was never going to work for Shamrock long term, and they kind of, I think they smoothed his edges, but I don't think it took away. I just think it changed. You can't do this to your mid-card every month. You cannot send him out there to bruise up, I don't know, Davey Boy Smith or whoever he's working with. It's
I'd enjoy that.
I mean, I'd watch it for a bit, but, you know, like, it doesn't work long term, does it, you know?
Yeah, and as we've seen with, like, as we will see, you know, not long after this with Brawl for All or like a Raw Underground, like, in the end, you're pushing like a division or a style when you actually want to be pushing Ken, because they do like tough man matches on Raw. Like, is it this year when they happen where it's like there's Vader's one in one, Mankind's in one? I'm sure Austin gets on. Does Norman not get an answer one?
Back end of 96.
Is it 90? Oh, is it that? Oh, it was before.
Austin and Vader had one, I think, the night after the Survivor Series. I'm pretty sure Austin and Vader had theirs. Yeah.
Yeah, you get trapped into promoting a division or like a separate thing rather than just promoting Ken, but the things, the intangibles that Ken brought. So I get, same as you, I get why it's a one night thing, but it's a glorious thing, or at least in this this early run for Shamrock here. And yeah, he's another great introduction, another character. He's someone obviously, as we talk about over the next couple of years. I'm going to be very sad when we do see him go, because his WWF is not as long as maybe some of us would like to remember, but an important part of the cast of characters. But yeah, a lot of fun, that one. Not necessarily one for the star rating sheets, but like I say, one worth checking out if you're watching anything from this show. And yeah, that pretty much takes us to our setup for the main event. We show the empty heart seats again here. We have a short, and again, like I said earlier, Pettingill of all people promo with Austin, who again, Pettingill's not too long for this world at this point. And yeah, we get a bit of the background between Taker and Austin, of which really they just show every scene that Taker and Austin had together on Raw, because there's not that much of it, because as we often say, the Heart Foundation are really the main characters here. And yeah, we covered most of this, I think, in housekeeping, unless there's anything else you want to fill in here, Michael.
I noted with interest really that I don't know if this was a production choice or just very good instincts from Steve Austin, but instantly, for one, him and Todd Pettingill don't belong in the same storytelling universe together, do they? It's very jarring seeing like Todd as the guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like his voice doesn't even fit saying the wrestler's name as a babyface, certainly not. But Austin gets his line out about beating the Undertaker up and then putting the Hearts in wheelchairs to join Brett and all that. And then Austin just walks off the shot, and Todd's got to recap the footage of Austin and Undertaker like having their two interactions on TV. And I couldn't decide if that was just a bit of a production mess up or that was Austin deciding, why would my character sit and listen to you recap my video? He's constantly like, he's breaking Austin for the good is breaking every rule, isn't he? We talked about it on the last Housekeeping. Everything you've ever seen is not what Steve Austin needs to do. He needs to operate in a completely different airspace to everybody else. So why would this rattlesnake just stand politely while an excited radio host from WWF Mania talks about how wham, you got hit with the stunner and wham, there's the choke slam and all that, like that's why would Steve Austin stand there? This is his world and Todd lives in it now,
Yeah. And nobody like understands that more than Steve himself. Like you see it in the opening to the match with where he's the one who attacks first and such as well. But like I say, we have that little promo video. We get the Austin entrance, as I noted earlier. Not really. Again, the glass shatter pop. We're not quite at that stage yet. We're still getting big pops. He's still clearly the next one up, but we're not quite at that level. As I said earlier, feel like Taker gets a slightly better response on his entrance. People pop the light going out. It's the easy things in life at the end of the day. We got a bit of a face to face between the lads, but of course here come the Hearts, the real main characters. And Brian Pillman, and we also obviously got our first sight on the pay-per-view of Brett in his wheelchair. And yeah, we've talked about it a lot on Housekeeping, but for those who haven't listened, how fucking great is this act already? And like we're 2 weeks in, like it's just brilliant stuff.
I can't believe they're nailing it, and yeah, I can, right? Because it's like obviously they're family for one. And obviously they've all been heels, baby faces, allies, enemies in like not just WWE, but Stampede and their own minds, like they're kind of course, their chemistry together is going to be perfection because it's right from Heart House dining table to television. But I think specifically as a gang of heels in a WWE that like didn't do this, I think that's probably what doesn't get mentioned a lot about the Hart Foundation. 5 heel wrestlers that all contribute, that all offer something different, that all have a link. Like you would typically need like a Bobby Heenan for the Heenan family or Jimmy Hart for the Hart family. And then in the 90s, anybody like Jim Cornette, maybe with Camp Cornette, that's about the only sort of equivalent I can think of. And really that was like, you have to say the quiet part loud, but that was more about the manager. It was like, here's my charge. If you're Bobby Heenan, here's my charge, and he's going to stop Hulk Hogan, and Jimmy Hart's going to stop Hulk Hogan, and Camp Cornette are going to stop Shawn Michaels. It was never about the actual, like, 5 wrestlers, was it? They were going to win the titles, but they were going to bring the title back to the Heenan family or whatever. These are...
Or the Don Callis family.
Or the Don Callis family. These are 5 wrestlers. We don't know that Pillman's washed. Like, we're willing to accept that Jim Neidhart is still the Anvil from the 80s. Bulldog and Owen are your tag champions and are your singles champions, and Brett's Brett. This is like this elite tier set of bastards who are also know each other inside out because they're family. It's a kind of one of one for WWE in this period of time.
It's amazing. We're obviously going to talk about it. We've been talking about it across as well. I feel like if Pillman's not the 5th Heart, the 5th Heart is Jerry Lawler. Like his performance on commentary through the scene and his performance on TV all the way through, where it's just trying to justify why he's the homer. And Jerry was like, didn't Brett make you kiss his feet though? He came round to my way of thinking. He knows now, Brett. He knows. Like even that element to it as well. It's just a perfect act, isn't it? Owen and Dave, the roles, like you say, they're kind of the kind of stooges, but they've got their own bit of credibility. Pillman, literally, it's his gimmick. He's the wild card. He is the one in the end. And you've got Anvil as the muscle, and Brett is just... I don't think Brett could... Maybe that's an argument for another time. Could Brett have been a heel without the Hart Foundation? He probably could have pulled it off. We saw it in WCW. but it wouldn't have ever been as good, would it? The magic was getting back together with the family and giving all of them a lease on life as well, and playing off of them as we've seen on Raw and as we see here with them in the front row as well. It's so perfect. I can't believe nobody thought to do it before this point. Like, it's amazing, amazing stuff. And it is very much the focus of the match. Like, it kicks off with, like I say, Austin being there. He's still a heel at heart, jumping Undertaker, Taker kind of brawling back. They go to the outside. I love that it's Austin that goes for Owen first rather than the other way around again.
Man.
That's the Austin character, isn't it? Perfectly down. I also love, speaking of Jerry Lawler just constantly going, he attacked a fan. And JR has to keep saying, no, it's Owen Hart. Like, he's like, he's beating up a fan. What's he doing? It's just amazing. It's perfect comedy time, and it ties in perfectly with like how much, we know Lawler loves Owen Hart and has loved that character the whole time. And I love as well Taker getting involved. Like, Taker immediately going after the Hearts as well. Like, hitting that big hit on I think it's Owen he hit originally, and then scaring off Brett. It's perfect. You've established right away the dynamic of this match. Both baby faces, the actual heels are on the outside. It's unfortunate the rest of this match has to happen, but these first 5 minutes, Michael, are fantastic stuff.
Yeah, like, I get why they felt the need to do it. The wrestlers, this is Austin and Undertaker, never had great chemistry, and realistically, this is as good as it's ever going to be between them, with a couple of little exceptions along the way. But because Austin hadn't yet had the neck injury, Undertaker's kind of in career best form. There's every reason why the middle portion of this match should work, but it's the wrong men at the wrong time having the wrong match, isn't it? Like, Steve Austin, as we've talked about, I've really enjoyed this for better and worse, because I think for all it is the dream to relive the highs of Steve Austin finding himself, we're mounting a little bit of evidence that this is not an overnight babyface transition. And I think the matches are the biggest evidence of that. Like, Revenge of the Taker was just not good. And the middle section of this, like, I love Austin. I think he's, I don't need to give the caveats. He's one of the best ever. Yeah. I think his instincts are off.
Possibly
on this one. Like, massively off. Like, I don't think he reads the room. I think he clocks that, they're into me fighting the Hearts. They're into me cheating a bit against the Undertaker. But the more I target his leg in a clean way, the more I grab a hold in a clean way, I've lost them. And it's so quick. They're gone like that. As soon as he puts the headlock on, they're cheering for the Undertaker again. And I appreciate that's like a babyface battle, but it's completely at odds with every other aspect of the story. You cannot have him be the, yes, I know he hates the fans and he doesn't care and whatever, but you cannot have him be the babyface when there's 5 heels he's fighting with. And then as soon as he grabs the hold, expect him to just slot into being the heel again. It does not work. This has got to be a brawl that never really ends. And then you get to the finish with Pillman and the bell. The fact that, like, I get why they're doing it, because it's such a weird transitional time. But the fact that Undertaker and Austin try and staple their house show match into this story, into this sports entertainment story match, it's just a bad call. It's a bad decision.
It is. And like, that's exactly it. It's wrong-headed from Austin. Like, his heart's in the right place. Like, he is, as we said, it's a compliment that he's so committed to this character and he understands this character. But I think he's just got the line in the wrong place. He's prioritizing the consistency of, well, what would I have done 6 months ago, rather than the consistency of, I'm the top babyface now, which is the line I think he gets right eventually. And like we said, there comes a point where he's Stephanie McMahon from The Undertaker, and it's like, he's a fucking full babyface now. And like, he lets some of these, elements kind of go as 1997 goes on. But I think he is too committed to the character, if that's a possible. It's like when you're in a job interview and it's like, tell us something negative about yourself. It's like, I just work too hard. Like, he is too committed. Like, he is too good at being Steve Austin. I think honestly, it's to the detriment of some of the matches we're seeing. I think you've totally tapped into it, because like, I think as well, it's the wrestling brain of, well, Undertaker's the champion. I've been a heel most recently. My character is more heelish. So because you see it in every babyface versus babyface match, at some point, somebody's got to not get some heat, but pretty much up, you get a situational babyface and you get a situational heel. He is like, well, I guess I'm the situational heel because it suits my character more. And it's all wrong, because you're right. His way of doing it is he grabs a headlock and then they do roll-ups like the Malenko Guerrero, because there is still an element of it. Well, I guess we are babyface and I guess we're equals. And then he goes back to the headlock. And then, like you say, he goes to the leg, and we love a chop block, but it's just so laboured the way he goes after the leg. And you do, again, they've structured the match so that there's a pop when Taker fights back, which again is wrong-headed because Taker's not the future. It's Austin. And, Austin posts the leg, hits an STF, and becomes, it kind of works it a bit like Brett, actually, in his heel role at this point as well. But it's constantly Taker fighting back until Taker, I don't know, takes the wrong lesson from this and goes, oh, well, guess it's my turn. And then he takes over Steve's leg, and then he starts working his leg, and they lay around even longer. And it's just like, oh, lads, you've nailed it there, Michael. Like, Steve Austin from 6 months in the future or next year would understand the assignment. This will be a brawl with bells and whistles and nonsense. Basically, the first 5 minutes would carry on for another 10, and it possibly past that's the enforced stylistic choices that Austin has to make as a result of the injury. But the match that's trying to work in this middle portion of the match within the match, is just terrible. There's no other way of putting it. It is rotten, and it's just bad choices all around from both of them.
You touched on it there, and I don't think I want. It's not a hot take, this obviously, but that neck injury, it's not just the in-ring style, is it? It's the, we're jumping ahead to coverage that we'll do in season 2 here, but it's not just the neck injury that changes the in-ring style by design and by necessity. It's the fact that he moves away very gradually from feuding with the Hearts to feuding with authority figures. And that's just as important, isn't it? It's those two things combined. Austin needs to go from fighting baddies to kind of realizing the ultimate baddie is this entire company. And then that's where the fans swell behind him and blah, 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 blah with Vince McMahon. But that character suits way more those short brawls with The Rock over the bonnet of his car and, just smashing Mick Foley about in, weapons heavy outings and brawls into the crowd and all that. I don't think I want to see the timeline, cruel as this sounds, where Austin doesn't get hurt at SummerSlam. I wonder how much longer it takes him to drop that bit of his act and become the punch kick guy he kind of needs to become to get the character all the way over. We don't have that. We don't, it plays out as it plays out. But I don't know. I think I'm dancing around saying that Austin, I think, was becoming in danger. Matty Edwards' ears are going to be burning when I say this, and I'm sure there's
you'll listen to this for 6 months, don't worry.
Yeah, every single time you get that online argument about who was better, Steve Austin and Hangman Page, and it's one of the worst arguments because so many points are missed on both sides about the positives of both men. But I love this Steve Austin. I love him to death. But the one sort of criticism I'm landing on as we watch these back to back to back to back, especially with all the Raw segments and just how intoxicating the man is on television. And I mean that I would literally get drunk on Steve Austin footage if I could, because I would consume that much of it over and over and over again, is that sooner or later, his matches were going to collide with this character, and it might have actually harmed his road to the top. Is that fair to say? Because this is 2 pay-per-views in a row now, and I'm get your shit together, Steve. Look at what's happening. And you can't blame the talent with the Undertaker because Taker's in good form. The last one was Brett. Do you know what I mean? It's I liked him in the Final 4, but he's not really the focus of it, is it? It becomes Vader and it becomes Brett after that. And I'm thinking back, and really the best he's been as a babyface worker, that to not include the Brett match, because obviously that's its own thing at WrestleMania. Yeah. It's probably the Rumble. And it's because he's being given he's the hardest working guy in the match. He's gutsy. He's been in there for an hour. He's he's wily, he's clever, you kind of love him. In these singles matches, is it sacrilege to say it? He's not making his wrestling fit his character. I feel like I would be critical of somebody doing this in 2025. Who's an example? Kyle Fletcher is an example. Whether you need to be a bit more of a dick, you need to lay off some of that really cool shit you do and pose and stooge and posture because you're a heel. And Austin's got that problem the opposite way around. The work is just not matching the gimmick.
I think the evidence is mounting that could be the case. I suppose the only pushback you could give is, and to be fair, and again, I should underline this, our criticism of Stone Cold Steve Austin here is he's too committed to the character. And I'm going to follow it up with, he's too good. He's too good a wrestler.
He's too good.
And he's trying to be good wrestler still. I think there might be evidence there that he probably could have figured it out. I think when you look at the WrestleMania match, you look at the Rumble, maybe there's a universe where a more wrestling edge Steve Austin figures out that version of Steve Austin, and it's just as big as everything that we see that follows it. But it remains one of the all-time great, making chicken salad out of chicken shit, taking a positive out of a negative, however you phrase it, that the injury and all the limitations that come with it, he turns into a positive. Again, because he's that good. I would want to leave off the table that he's that good that he couldn't have made it work with something like this style, but he would have to get, like they say, this weird period where, like the Brett match last month, it's trial and error. I would hope there'd be enough error that he'd figure out and go, okay, I need a bit more brawling, or if I'm going to work my matches in this particular style, I need to do a bit more of this, a bit less of that. There might be a parallel universe where that Steve is still as big as he ever was. And then maybe we don't get Triple H's, butterfly effect. We never get Triple H's main event. Maybe The Rock doesn't go to Hollywood and WWF's still amazing 20 years later and they're all still wrestling. Maybe we might have got to that point, but I would want to leave room on the table for that to happen. But there's definitely evidence in your favor.
And as well, you're right. It's very important we flag up. It's Steve Austin's fault for being too brilliant at every single aspect of wrestling. He's a 10 in so many categories that he finds it. Like if you asked him to do this while he was fully fit, you say, Steve, can you be a 9 instead of a 10? He'd be too stubborn. And it's like how, you think he's doing it as a character, but years later, he would describe how the resistance to go full babyface is a shoot thing. It's a very stubborn Steve Austin in real life going like, I still don't think I'm a babyface. Like they're still in that weird period where Jim Ross on commentary. And again, it's funny that Vince isn't on the show because it feels fed by Vince McMahon, doesn't it? It's like, I don't know why they love him, but they love him. We're still in that. And it's like, now's the time to stop asking that question. Like, stop asking that out loud. Stop saying that out loud. Stop forcing Stone Cold Steve Austin to be boxed into still like having these heelish tendencies. Lean in. Like, let him. He's got 5 baddies that the fans want to cheer him beating the shit out of. Just do that. Do that over and over and over again. It's not failing. It's working.
Yeah. Which I would also say I'd have preferred to this match. I would prefer just the next 5 in your houses to be him just working through them all once. I want a Jim Neidhart match. I want a Brian Pillman match. I'll take a Davey match. I'd love an Owen match. Luckily, we get one of them. And then I'd take another Brett match once we're all in the right place. Instead, he does this. And to kind of close off on the match, like it gets a bit more interested in the tail end, get a bit more offense in that tail end where you get Taker hitting a heel kick. He's like the 4th wrestler on the show to do it again. Bad agent. Maybe Vince the home. There's an old school attempt in there. He misses an elbow. We get a jawbreaker from Steve, which I always hate. I always hate him doing that. Don't you hate that? I can't. There's other examples that where wrestlers do that, where their B move is way too similar to their A move, and the fans get on the he's going to do it. Oh wait, no, he hasn't done it. He's done the shit move that we don't want to see him do. Like it's kind of that, isn't it? It gets a stunner pop it doesn't deserve.
When Brett would grab the legs. And he's got them ready for the sharpshooter, but he does the stomp or he puts on the figure 4 leg lock. And you're like, but you're right there. You're in like sharpshooter him now. You've got him. Why wouldn't you?
Totally. That's exactly. I always feel like I think Christian had a few moves like that as well. Like I always hated it, but okay, it gets the faux pop. Shows you the stunner is getting over. I like the little back and forth here with Steve and Earl. Shows a little bit of the chemistry there that you come to have where he gives Earl a finger, and then you get the low blow and from Taker to Steve. Steve moaning to Earl, why aren't you doing anything about it? And Earl just gives him a finger as well. Which again, it's him more leading into the heel side than the babyface side, but he's showing some of those character chops that we know and love him for. And the bit I think most people remember from this match is obviously we get the chokeslam from Undertaker. Austin bails to the apron, hits another stunner looking pulling a rocket dropper thing, pulling Taker on a neck first onto the ropes. Then he hits the actual stunner. And the bit that I remember from watching this one on Sky Sports is bright. You think the ref's going to count. You think this might be the moment in 1997. They're going to crown Steve this early. No, they're not. As Brian Pillman rings the bell, gets enough of a distraction, which at the time I thought was an incredibly creative finish. So it was really good fuck way of getting out of giving you a straight up victory here for the Undertaker. But yeah, Undertaker recovers, goes for a tombstone. You get a little tease, which I love, of Steve doing the Kane Undertaker twirly around, reversing the tombstone, which just looks weird when it's Steve doing it, only for Undertaker to get back in the power position, tombstone him in a way that, you talk about his injury, just looks uncomfortable, because it looks like they're not often stiff, those tombstones from Undertaker. Usually shout out to Hulk Hogan. There's a couple of feet between the head and the floor, but there's not much there whatsoever, but it's a good finish, and it's enough for Undertaker to get the win. And yeah, they cover enough for Steve, don't they? And give us what we really want, which is more Hart Foundation and Steve Austin drama. And I don't know about you, I remember in 1997 being very, very viscerally annoyed with Brian Pillman in this moment, and very angry that he took it away from me. But a good lesson for folks, and maybe some certain bookers out there that, you don't have to do everything now. And it was very much the right call to wait for Steve's crowning moment. And I thought a creative way to get there. Probably the best part of the match outside of the first 3 minutes.
And totally proof as well that, like, as long as you know that if you've got confidence in the character and the wrestler performing the role has confidence in themselves, you can beat them 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Like, this finish, as you say, was creative, but ultimately, what's the bread and butter here? Austin's doing the job to the Undertaker's finisher. That's what finishes the match, and he loses, and he gets his shoulders pinned, and it doesn't like all of a sudden just knock Austin's push out of kilter.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's done now.
Yeah, like,
over to Ahmed Johnson.
Shot. Well, yeah, and like, he's had his shot, but also the Hearts, it's not just a protection thing, it's an actual, the Hearts are the reason why he's not the WWF champion. He's gone on record as saying he's going to be feuding with Bret Hart till they're dead. So it's okay for that character to now have to address this rather than immediately getting back in the hunt for the title. Like, there's a nice bit in the post-match, isn't there, where, like, so the Hearts rush the ring and beat up the Undertaker. And in, like, we've already seen Austin do this, and in foreshadowing of a certain famous tag match that's going to come in a few weeks, Austin has a choice to be the proper, honest-to-God babyface and help, or get Bret first. And he, yet again, is just obsessed with, I'm going to get Bret first, actually. He tips him out the wheelchair. He gives him a bit of a shoe-in, and which is so funny. And then he's like, right, I've had that. Now I'll help. And he just grabs a crutch and goes ape shit with the crutch. And even then, it's not to help the Undertaker. It's just because, well, I've tipped Bret out of his chair and I've given him a kick in. I fancy a bit of Pillman. I fancy a bit of the Bulldog. In I come, swinging this crutch for miles. Like, that, again, like, they are thinking so much. Like, Vince McMahon, didn't he, said that, like, Steve Austin was the most challenging guy he worked with? Good. Because how many conversations might have been, like, about this post-match where they say, right, the heels come in and beat us up at the end. Any thoughts? And then Austin said, well, shouldn't I get to Bret? And then they've said, yeah, but you're supposed to be a good guy now. And he's like, nah, I'm going to get to Bret. And then the compromise is this. But everybody wins, right? Like, this is one of those compromises that's a good thing. It's very important that Steve Austin services that rattlesnake side of the character and then does right by the Undertaker before the pay-per-view goes off the air. And then, for good measure, drops him with the stunner. So, like, it's kind of like all your gardens are watered here with the way that this lays out. And this is the good shit. This is night and day compared to the match where they're working each other's legs. Fuck that. Like, this is the proper, this is the stuff that's, like, I know people are going to think I'm a Philistine and a twat. This is the money drawing end of the game here. Like,
don't need the ring, do you, Vince Russo? Just get rid of the ring.
I'm trying so hard not to be, but, like, this is what's integral to Austin's push, not working a hold.
No, you're totally right. And, like, it's like, get you a hobby that's as good as our hobby. Because in What Other World are we doing a podcast where we're going, yeah, he tipped him out of the wheelchair. Wasn't that fucking great? Like, didn't you cheer when he did that? Because we did, didn't we? It's horrible. And it's so simple as well. Well, it's just a little obviously Bret's legitimately hurt. It's a tiny spill, but it looks so terrible because of the implications of he's in a wheelchair, you know, despite it being Bret Hart and a baddie. But you're allowed to cheer for it because it's Bret Hart and he's a baddie. Like, again, that's the secret sauce of why we all like Steve Austin in this period, because he's doing this to the people that we hate too. And, like, yeah, it's right. You said that about the challenger part of booking Steve Austin, because he is to a fault, so committed to this character. He's absolutely thought that through. What would my character do? Yeah, he'd do that. What would my character do? Well, we'd see it 10 times over the next 2 years after this. He'd stun Undertaker at the end as well, wouldn't he? Like, I'm sure there's a version of this where it's Hogan and Warrior doing the pose at the end of the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's Vince McMahon's vision at this point in it. And you get that with Steve eventually with the, doing a fucking beer bash with X-Pac or whichever other babyface was knock around at that point. But at this point again, he's still so committed to the character. What would my character do? He'd stun Taker, wouldn't he? And to be fair, like you say, all your gardens are watered because you're getting a bit of heat back on Steve as well. You kind of, yes, Undertaker's the world champion, but they're kind of saying to you, Steve's the guy here, and he's the guy who should be the main focus as we go off air. So you get that part of it too as well. It's great. It is the opening to the match, the very, very close of the match, and this are worth the price of entry. You've just got to skip the 15 minutes in the middle.
I quite like that they've harnessed as well the madness of the early part of the year around the time that Shawn loses his smile and the belt is just flying off in 10 different directions and everybody's like trying to figure out what their place is in the new world that's being curated by Steve Austin. This is a far more like business savvy version of it. The Hearts kind of like make a break for it. And then Austin, having stunned the Undertaker, starts like hobbling off ready. He's got one of Brett's crutches and he's chasing the Hearts with a crutch. And then Taker recovers from the stunner and he's kind of chasing all of them. And that's like the perfect use of all the characters and this bit of chaos, isn't it? Nobody looks weak other than the baddies that are running away having been little bastards. Like, you've preserved both your baby faces. Nothing's been tarnished or lost or anything. And you're led to believe that like Undertaker, yeah, he might be chasing down Steve Austin or he might be chasing down the Hearts. And maybe on another Raw, he would have caught them, but he's about to get wrapped up in something else entirely different with Paul Bearer. But nobody's had to like betray their character or betray their real selves in order to establish every beat of this. It's quite delicately handled for how many different things are dovetailing here, because ultimately after this, you're going to get focused quite hard back in on Austin and the Hearts. And Shawn Michaels, much more on that in the next podcast. But like the Undertaker in particular has kind of tiptoed into this world and now he's going to take a giant leap out of it. And they've sort of found the perfect way to leave the characters behind in this little chapter of the story. Like Undertaker doesn't come back to the Hearts now until SummerSlam. Wow. That's how detached he's going to be for the next couple of months. So that it needs to be a credible reason why all of a sudden Steve Austin, Bret Hart, these two men that were willing to kill each other for the Undertaker's belt, have reached a boiling point that they have to be shunted over there. It's like they're really starting to figure out where all these pieces need to fit on the board. It's why it's so captivating 1997, because I think people hold it aloft as this perfect year, but I think it's in the imperfections where the perfection shines, because me and you have done it and we'll do more of it. I would happily any day of the week, twice on Sunday, watch a 1997 episode of Raw. But I don't want to watch Tiger Ali sing. I don't want to watch Tom Brady. I don't want to watch the Sultan. But they're there. Like, don't believe the hype. They're there. It's just, if you sit there, you will be rewarded. But you've still got to eat your vegetables. And there's a lot of fucking shitty bits of broccoli and cauliflower on this Raw in 1997. It is not all the meat and the gravy and the roast potatoes. It's just like, you can tell it's getting close to Christmas, can't you? Like, it's there's plenty of it on these Raw episodes, but the magic is so special and so industry defining that it's like, it's worth it. It's worth sifting through the crap to get there.
Absolutely. And, I would just say, obviously, Christmas was 2 days ago, Michael. I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, it's obviously the 27th of December today. So,
of course,
we're recording this.
100%. Glad, lovely Christmas. That's what I was thinking. Like that's. I was talking about the dinner I had 2 days ago.
I have a roast for New Year's Day. I don't know about you. Like the Americans with Thanksgiving as well. It all counts. But no, but I'm with you. Like, it's funny. I was not dreading reviewing this show, but like, we had so much fun doing the housekeeping. And like you say, cherry picking the good parts of Raw, that I was looking at when we previewed this lineup. I was like, oh, outside of what happens in the main event and remembering how I felt, I wasn't looking forward to covering it. And even in watching this back, I actually don't think most of it was good. Like I say that. There were bits to pick apart from a lot of it. There was good, I think, in everything, but there was bad across that undercard. But I think I enjoyed talking about all this maybe more so than even the greatest in your houses we've covered so far, because it is such a fascinating time. It's so fascinating to see Steve work out the kinks. It's so fascinating to follow that Heart Foundation character. I can't believe Canadian Stampede is the next full show that we're doing. Like, I can't believe like time is moving that quickly. But like, it's so interesting to see, like, say the undercard, to see Foley about to move into a more babyface role, to see Rock not quite working out yet, but seeing those kinks, to see Ken Shamrock getting introduced. Like, I just love this time period. It is so interesting, so fascinating. And I know it's a well-worn road that we're about to go into with the as the Attitude Era really kicks in, but like, it can't be undersold how much of a game changer 1997 is, how interesting 1997 is, and how interesting this cast of character is. Like, it is unbelievable to be watching it back in real time, and I feel so lucky to be covering these shows with you, mate.
I think they're like right back at you. Like, I'd start them all again, given the opportunity. I'll never stop like waffling on about these. But just to your point there, like, I remember in like 1995, I think it was on one of the very first ones, we were talking about the wrestlers that would like need a few retoolings before they would start making money for the company in 1998 and 1999, when all of our Johnny Come Lately school friends would get back on the bandwagon. But this card, I was actually thinking about this, and you've sort of given me the perfect segue. If you go through match by match, we are now looking at the vast majority of people that are this close to making WWE millions. Like, the free-for-all is the New Age Outlaws. The opener has China and Triple H. Like, I'm not saying it's everybody, Flash Funk falls away. The next match, The Rock and Mankind. The next match after that is like the Nation and Ahmed, and that really is the thing that kind of falls away through APA, but like, that's that little chunk that kind of dies in the new generation. But then after that, Ken Shamrock, massive in the Attitude Era. Undertaker and Austin will draw that all-time of SummerSlam. Highway to Hell, Benno, is 14 months after this show we've just covered. Picture SummerSlam in the Garden in all of its glory. The business is back. The Fed's on top. WCW's fucked. The whole deal. Like, AC/DC every week. Is it a conspiracy with the Undertaker? And all that shit. 14 months away from this. Like, amazing. We are so close. Everybody's in the room. You've nailed it. Like, a few people like don't find their place or don't.
Sultan's backstage, Rikishi's there, they're all there. All the stars are here.
That's it. Half the ones in catering are the ones that are waiting.
I'm sure Glenn's still there.
Get a shot. Glenn's in AAA, like doing his last jackknifes as Fake Diesel before he's about to get the call that's going to change his life. Like, it's so thrilling. It's always the way, isn't it? Like, your favorite band are your favorite band until they're everybody else's favorite band, and then you love them just a little bit less. This is this Fed.
Incredible. That's our Fed, mate. 1997. It's better than 1998, mate. It is. It's the best year. It always said that. Stand by watching it back. Just exhilarating stuff. Almost don't want to end, mate. Want to talk some more 1997? What was in the charts in 1997? I just don't want to leave 1997 now. Oh, no, I can't wait like for these coming weeks, and it's going to be Goldust as well, because it's like, no pun intended, but like the Heart Foundation, as much as I'm enjoying them. Brett's fucking leaving soon, when we get into season 2. That's not far in the future either. But what a fucking time to be alive.
Do you know what we've? Is a nice little teaser for the next Housekeeping. Do you know what we haven't talked enough about in 1997? While we've been raving about all of this amazing stuff, do you know who we've not even been able to talk about once in terms of reviewing these pay-per-views? He's Shawn fucking Michaels. And I would say, Benno, that
he's the one who needs to leave the room, mate.
It's about time you and I started seeing some sunny days. Don't you agree?
Agreed.
The good times are about to roll, mate. It's coming.
Oh, good. Well, it gets good before it gets bad. At least we have that again. That's why 1997 is better. But maybe some did need to leave the room before the party could properly start. But can't wait for that. Incredible stuff. And I guess that brings us to the end, unless there's anything else to say on the show itself. A great one. Send us your feedback. Let us know what you think of it. If you watched it for the first time, I'd love to hear from some young'uns maybe that are out there from the What Culture verse or the Grapple verse who are coming along with us for this ride. Or even if you listen to this in a year, I've heard a lot this week from like a couple of people, like Gareth specifically. I think he's up to like the third episode of Benno and Hamflett he's working his way through. My mate Carl has just started working his way through as well. So if you listen to this in 2057, throw a comment on the YouTube. Let us know what you thought of this show too. We'd love to hear it.
This was a lot. I'm completely with you, by the way. A way better experience than I remember. It's not one that I typically hold aloft, but I had a lot of fun watching it for review purposes. I was looking forward to chatting about it, and the conversation is delivered, and I hold the show in a higher regard as a result. It's never one that I've put up there, but like, I mean, it smoked Revenge of the Taker, didn't it?
Yeah.
As an experience.
Way more interesting.
Like,
yeah. Very much so. Well, there we go. That's it. That's the show, really. Should we get into the plugs? What else is going on? How was your Christmas, mate? Did you have a good day? Did you get anything good?
Yeah, I had a lovely one. I'll not say what I did or didn't get on the off chance that my kids somehow get access to YouTube and then might learn some things. I'm not quite ready for them to learn it. Look, I got the biggest present on December the 14th, and so did my kids. And it took place at the stadium, and I didn't need to unwrap anything on the 25th. I'm good. I'm good for the rest. I'm good for the rest of the year. But yes, while I am off at Christmas, I would be very grateful if people could still visit What Culture anyway. Keep the lights on for us while we're away skiving at home. There's a lot of pre-recorded podcasts that are on the feed now. If you've never listened to What Culture Wrestling before, we do typically review Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, pay-per-views, premium live events. But especially for the Christmas period, when we're not in the office quite as much, we've put a load of banked stuff in. A bit of Christmas content for you, a bit of end-of-year retrospective stuff, a couple of interesting debates, a couple of roundtables, a couple of very self-indulgent podcasts where we recap some of the daftest stuff from our podcast this year. It's all on the feed, some on video on the What Culture Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, but normal service will be resumed any day now. We'll be back in the office by the 2nd of January, and the road to the Royal Rumble via the Netflix debut Raw of 2026 and the CM Punk Bron Breakker match can begin. The business never sleeps, so we don't either.
There you go. Well, I remember how I felt last year. Very much earned time off from you lads, but I'll be along with everybody else refreshing on YouTube, waiting for you guys' return. And of course, I just want to know what you think of World's End, mate. I won't be able to wait until January for those thoughts. Hopefully it was a good show. That's already happened. I'm
pretty sure I can give you a spoiler now, but I'll save that just in case. It's
good matches.
Yeah, great. Loving the great matches. I'm not liking the sounds of this. Look, if we'll pull back the curtain, we're not quite recording as close to a release date as you might think. If the planned main event that I've heard rumors about goes ahead, yeah, great, brilliant, nice one, triple threat, love it. What are we doing? What the hell are we doing?
Well, everyone enjoyed Tanahashi's retirement anyway. That's obviously what we're referencing coming up. But we will be covering that obviously over on Grapple. So yeah, we've got a few things going on over Christmas. We have the Grappies and Crappies will be out this weekend. I think at the time you'll be listening to this as well for the best and worst of the year. Also check out everything else we put out. We did a Wrestle Kingdom 10 flashback review with Queen of the Mountain Sophia Hitchcock. Great show, that one. Very much enjoyed that. Mad that was even 10 years ago. Time is just moving faster and faster, or slower and slower as we get older, one way or another. But yeah, plenty of stuff going on over there. So yeah, patreon.com/grapple for that and youtube.com/@grapple. And yeah, just one last call. If you are watching us on video, to hit us a subscribe on YouTube. That's what Matty's always going on about hypes. Don't know what they are. I'll take a subscribe. I'll take a like. That'll do in old YouTube money. Or if you're listening to the audio and you don't subscribe to us on the video, or the other way around, we could always do with the numbers to take us into season 2, which will be starting in next year. But we're not quite done yet. Still Canadian Stampede to go, and lots more fun where that came from.
Lots of telly until we get there, which I'm very excited for on the next Housekeeping. But I guess that's it from us. So until next time, thanks for the house.
Yeah, night all.